It's on medstutter.tv. Okay, so for the judges who are just pinging in now, make sure you look in the chat box for the judging form. Yep. I don't know why the MedStutter is so slow anymore. Just in times like this when I'm trying to do something. Hey, Jonathan. Good to see you. Okay, so are we already recording?
Yeah, it's fine.
I guess I'll just turn off the music and just distract me. Hey, Melissa. Welcome. Okay. So I guess we can get started.
Yeah.
We have our first presenters here.
Yep.
Some of our judges.
Yes.
Okay, so hello and welcome to MedMo World Tour Finals 2020 Vision Challenge. We've been doing contests in this space, well, for years, but when we looked at what 2020 was doing, we kind of just didn't want to look at 2020 anymore since we did a whole bunch of contests on the war on COVID, and 2020 was such a dumpster fire. We wanted to think about what was coming next, flying cars and injectable robots and well, the stuff you'll see here today. And so we set up the contest, and Pat made this wonderful graphic you see in it here. Amazing guy, Pat Hurd. Thank you, Pat. He's the best. And this is our last show of the year, so we're very excited to just get down, crunch some numbers, and make some investments. Pat actually came up with the idea for today, which is something we should have been doing before. I think we've talked about it before, but today we're actually doing it. Is we're gonna so we say that the teams can win up to $2 million in investment services through the challenge, subject to due diligence. And that subject to due diligence part is kind of tricky because it's basically that's us looking at the financials and the business model. And we do make offers probably about 6 times a year to the winners of these contests. That those become our investments, but it's not a guaranteed thing. But we decided that, hey, we should do a guaranteed thing. So we're going to give out one of our acceleration packages, which is worth up to $275,000 or so. A lot of it is services, and there are, some strings attached, but not that many. It's a pretty good deal, I think. But I think that we're going to say that the winner today, we're definitely going to give an acceleration package to, at least. Usually we give more cash. But the acceleration, I think, is the most valuable thing we do. You can even talk to Gerald Shapiro, who after the last contest actually got a $25,000 check sent to him. And that's the kind of stuff that happens when we make an effort to promote a team. We've got other teams that are in with large companies looking to buy them, and we are the ones who introduce them and are facilitating that. But we also do more simple things like introduce just the right people just at the right time, as somebody like Chad Resden, the CEO of Karenware, can tell you, where he hired one of our mentors just as his company exploded and needed to grow 50-fold in a couple of weeks when COVID started, and he had pivoted quickly into PPE. Another thing that we actually kind of pushed and helped on too. So our global network of innovators is extremely helpful, and that's really what you win today, in addition to getting into our innovation investment fund. So, but there's something for everybody. So MedStutter mentors, our judges, really smart people representing patient activists, physicians, hospital leaders, big partners, people at large companies like Pfizer and what have you. They are very important to our process. And so we give them free t-shirts like this. No, we don't just give them free, really cool t-shirts, but we also will, at the end of the year, one of the things we're going to do for the first time is start giving out shares in our GP, the general partner, which when you look at investment funds, they're the one of the beneficiaries. Basically, we get credit for having helped find good companies for our investors by getting 20% of all of the proceeds. And so that can be a pretty big number if things keep going the way they're going. So if you get some shares in that, that's actually something you can, take to the bank. So that's exciting. Plus you get to hang around with us and do all our fun stuff, and sometimes go to Myrtle Beach and, be part of our LP events and other sorts of fun stuff. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about MedStarter if you want to go to the next page. What? Did I say something?
You just try to change the slides.
Yeah, exactly. No, she just gives me an etch a sketch. I just shake it when it's done. So MedStarter is, started out as a community, started by my friend Eugene Bronkovich, who hopefully is here today, also one of our CEOs. A lot of our CEOs are here today from our portfolio, just because I really trust them. I love them. They're part of our lives, and I want to know what they think of the teams. So, but the whole idea here is, is the idea that many minds are better than one mind. Most venture funds, have a couple of smart guys at the top, or girls, and a bunch of, MBAs who do analyses and what have you. I would rather, ask, 1,000 people, hey, what do you think? And then see what they think, and then count up all the ballots, and then take that approach. Yeah, I know that actual voting and trusting votes is really not, that big a thing nowadays in the United States, but I still believe in it. And statistics show that it works a lot better than traditional approaches. So we also run a medstarter.com, which is a crowdfunding site, and a lot of projects are on that. People have raised money on that. But also, money isn't the only thing. It's about attention, awareness, and getting that crowd behind you that really helps. Like Gerald can tell you, and lots of other people who are here today who have been beneficiaries of the MedStarter model, is that, what starts on MedStarter doesn't end on MedStarter, and all sorts of things happen afterward. And in healthcare, it's not easy to get your idea off the ground. So a lot of times you really need a crowd behind you. There's an old African proverb that goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, bring the tribe. So this is really a tribe building exercise for a lot of people. So getting the team you need, getting the partners you need, getting your first big pilot. One of my favorite investments, Miami, during a contest like this, got 2 partnerships and 3 pilots and $136,000 invested in them, and they became our 3rd investment. That's Meta Dyerberg, who can't be here today, but is just a fantastic entrepreneur that never ceases to surprise us in the stuff that she gets done. And now her app called Myme, MYMEE, is actually better at treating people with autoimmune diseases than prednisone, which is fantastic, because if you've ever been on prednisone and got fat and unhappy on it, then and couldn't have babies and things like that, you'd much rather just track all your symptoms with an app and figure out what's triggering you, and not have lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, or any number of other autoimmune conditions be a problem. So MedStarter is all about helping startups get there faster with the help of crowds. I think that kind of describes everything. So the world tour usually goes everywhere, including Barcelona, Berlin, and Bogota this year. But of course, we got a little sideline. We had a big tent at South by Southwest and had to cancel all that. So we just decided to just do it all from our living room, which we like our living room. It's got things like Christmas trees and hats and us. But we would have rather gone everywhere. On the other hand, the whole world is coming to us. We've had people from probably 17 different countries participate in these contests, obviously all over America. We had our first outside the US investment this year in Barcelona. And yeah, we're very excited about this approach. And of course, we have cool t-shirts too. So if you fill out the forms, you too will have a on this giant pile of t-shirts to be sent out to our judges. Thank you, judges. You too will have a bag on the couch, which has your name, a thank you letter, and a cool t-shirt, which is totally incorrect. If you look at the back of it, it shows what the tour was. We of course printed that immediately before everything got canceled. 2020 got canceled, but the show must go on, and we continue. So this is really just step 1 in our due diligence process. Today we're short circuiting it. We could have updated this, yeah. I guess bad Pat. No, that's awesome. So Pat came up with the idea, as if you guys were here before, I mentioned that he said, hey, let's just give out the acceleration package. And so we're going to do that. We're actually going to short circuit this thing. And, we're not going to cut a check necessarily, but we are going to, give you guys our time and effort, which includes a week of training in New York and a whole bunch of other stuff. But of course we do the training virtual these days. So anyway, so we gather data in the contests, and then we go through a due diligence process, which is pretty standard. And in a couple of weeks, you'll get an offer from us to invest. If you make it past all these hurdles. So and a lot of people do. So we're very excited about our portfolio. So here's the schedule for today. Of course, as usual, we screwed it up. No, sorry. It's good that Pat's pushing me faster. Is Heather here, by the way?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm doing my best, Heather. I'm doing my best. Heather tells me I have to go faster because I can't.
Come on, Alex.
I'm going. Anyway, so what's my time like, Heather? And that is relevant because Heather is the time.
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Oh, I can do that. Okay, so we're gonna have 5-minute pitches today. Sorry, Heather, and 5 minutes for Q&A. We did have one company drop out, which is not surprising with wild cards. It happens. So I think O2 Regentech, Andreas couldn't make it, so I guess he got stuck in traffic. What was his excuse? Yeah, I don't even care. They're dead to me. So we only have 9 teams today, so it's a little earlier, Heather. So each team gets 5 minutes to pitch, and then we'll have 5 minutes of strong Q&A from our amazing judges. And we'll take a break. What are we doing in the break? Oh yeah, what's your 2021 vision? Yeah. Right. So think about your very short answer to what's your vision for 2021, meaning like, hey, I want to, eat more cabbage or whatever it is you're going to do in 2021, or what you see in 2021. Make it, short enough to be a tweet, and then tweet it out. Hashtag, and which you see everywhere, 2021 vision or MedMo. And then we'll retweet it and get even more attention. And that is a big thing about why we're doing this. This goes online and all sorts of people will see it. They'll watch it on this or on TV, or they'll come into the event or what have you, or they'll get involved, or they'll go see your project in MedStarter. And that's the thing. So many people say, hey, I've got a great idea, but it never gets out to market. And it's a sad thing. I mean, think about the tens of thousands of innovations. It's happened to me. I had a cousin die while waiting for an opioid addiction app that we had actually worked with and were trying to help, but it never got out to market because, things got in the way, school and, things like that for the entrepreneurs. So our goal is to help stuff get out faster. One of the ways we can do is by giving people a stage to stand on, holding it up and saying, hey, everybody, come look at this. So that's what we're doing. That's what we do with our lives. We love it. And we have a good business model because we actually invest in the ones that do well, and all of this helps. And then it gives us a strong market signal that we can say, hey, this company is ready for our help. So we're going to have 9 companies like that with amazing things, from everything from nanobots and whatever to replacement bone. We've got amazing people here today. Olivia, Casey, a lot of new people, but also a lot of folks we've known for a long time that are very helpful. I know that today's kind of a tough day. People are going to be coming and going, but I'm going to say that judges, everybody, and not just the judges, can do the data, can do the forms in the. Can you guys hear that? I hope not. They're doing construction in our building. I'm going to apologize in advance, just once, but there might be noise. So you have here on this list here, Lauren, Sai, Chat. There are 3 of our CEOs from our startups that we've invested in, amazing people. Phil Delinar is on our board of advisors. George is one of our investors. John is my brother, also one of our investors and my partner in the fund. Rob Delinar is also partner in the fund, also a friend that we grew up with. Oh, look, we've got a second Phil Delinar artist. That's awesome. Okay, Phil's here twice. That means you get to vote twice today, Phil. Phil's kind of our numbers guy, so I do like him to vote twice. Anyway, so yeah, I've got other great judges, and this is a space here that we have for everybody who's a judge who's online already. Please introduce yourselves, give a 30-second intro, and then I'll shut up for a little while, and then we'll get on to the pitches. So Rohini, who's here?
Sure. Hi, I'm Rohini.
Hey, Rohini. Welcome.
so happy to be here today, and it's the finals, so amazing. So for 20 years, I've developed innovative software solutions and driven digital transformation initiatives at global organizations. For the past 12 years, I've focused on healthcare IT. I was recently at an integrated health system where I led the initiative to build an electronic health record system ground up. And now I'm working on a digital health startup. I also serve as a mentor and advisor for both startups and VCs. And like I mentioned, so excited to be at the finals, and good luck to all of the founders today.
That's awesome, Rahini, and we're so glad to have you. Okay, who else is here?
I can go.
Great.
So my name is Livia. I was a judge at the last competition at Heat 4. I have extensive experience in healthcare. I've worked in proton therapy, which is a new way to treat cancer, digital health, and I'm currently working in women's health at a company called 28 Health. I'm super excited to see the finalists, and good luck to everybody.
Oh, that's great. And I just want to remind, because Livia, you seem so nice. I want to say, judges, you're not supposed to be nice, okay? You're supposed to ask very difficult questions, short, to the point, and hard hitting, and using your expertise. That's it. Okay. Who else is here?
I'd like to say something.
Hey, John. That's
Hi,
my brother.
I know. Sorry, guys. I just got here. Alex, you sound sick to me. Is that because you took the COVID thing?
No, I didn't get my second test. It's from having too much fun. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm John, Alex's brother. I'll be a judge today. I work with my brother for like 50 years.
That's true.
That's my claim to fame.
We used to make porches and stuff. Now we do more fun stuff. No, John has done amazing stuff. He's made some of the biggest residential complexes in New York. He's a big real estate guy, and I am so happy to have him.
Thank you, Alex.
He raises the funds. He manages the money side of things, and lets me be me. So thanks. Yep. Good big brother. And he still has his hair, motherfucker. So
well, I haven't cut my hair in a year. That's it. I put my hat back on it.
Nobody can see, John. It's very dark, which is good. Keep it like that.
Yeah, I'll keep it dark.
He's also a new father. So Sophia, can we get Sophia on film?
No, I mean, but not new. She's my third daughter.
Well, yeah, new father.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, we would love to see Sophia at some point if Mariah can bring her.
Okay, when she wakes up.
Okay, cool. Okay, who else is here?
Hey, Alex, I can go next. Hi, everyone. Anna Nello here. My background's in mechanical engineering, and I worked for about 8 years in medical device design in a few different industries. And then I switched over 5 years ago more towards the, I was working as a technology scout, evaluating products from startups, both digital and physical. And then last year I moved over to business development on the commercial side, still looking at startups. So really excited to be with you all today.
Great to have you, Ann. Thanks.
Is Rick here, Rick Goldman?
He said he's going to come in and out. And it's great to have engineers and insurance executives, hospital CEOs. Casey's a CEO, not a COO. Casey, are you here?
I'm flipped as a COO.
Yeah, but that's not.
Oh, okay.
I can say something, Alex.
Hey, Kat.
Hey, I'm Kat Zhang. I am a psychiatrist, and I have known Alex since I interned with MedStarter as a medical student, helping time contests and getting interested in innovation. And so I'm really excited to be back wearing this hat and getting to help judge the contest. And I think I've been to all of the 2021 Vision contests so far this year, and it's been really fun. So
yeah, it's great having you, Kat. Having Kat back. And that will be recognized by the review committee. Thank you. So who else do we have here?
Melissa?
Eggs.
Yeah.
Eggs. Melissa, you.
Hello.
So
Hi.
you might have to speak up, Melissa.
Hi. Thanks for having me here tonight. I've been a long time lurker. First started talking to Alex back in the fall because I'm bringing an oxygen accessory to market, and started attending these. And now I also work as a patient advocate, and I volunteer through the COPD Foundation with the state of Ohio State Captain. And through them, I've done some lobbying for them virtually this year. And I've also helped with Chest Foundation's patient toolkit for COPD.
And you also have your respiratory shield. Do you have one of those handy?
Yes.
I see you've got a
have-
cannula, so you must have your respiratory shield handy.
Yes, I do. I have
Let's
right
see it.
here. Use it. I have a nasal cannula cover. I'm calling the respiratory shield. If you don't use oxygen, you might not realize how often people take it off, but they have it on and off all the time. And I think we've all learned with COVID, you don't really want to touch something and then touch your nose or your face, but people are putting these down all the time, putting them back in their nose. So the respiratory shield is a medical consumable that will keep that clean for reinsertion.
That's great.
Yeah, actually I'll present.
Yeah, no, we'll have a look at that. You know, and definitely keeping aseptic, you know, conditions is always important, especially now with COVID floating around. Okay,
Well, technically not aseptic, but you know.
Okay, sorry, Ross. Oh, let a physician. Here.
Hey, I'm Ross Martin, longtime fan, second time caller. This is my second time judging. Really excited. Although I just figured out that the value of my prize is half as much because I've had to work twice as hard now for one T-shirt. I'm an informatician. What's that?
Yeah, that is kind of a problem with the model, but you know,
because there's no other value in doing this other than the T-shirt. No, that's absolutely not true. I had such an amazing time last time. I jumped at the chance of doing it again. I think it's a really great model for bringing people out. And I'm an informatician with background as an obstetrician in my very past life, but for the last 25 years, I've been working on health information exchange, electronic prescribing, things like that, and moving data around. And I've worked in pharma, in the payer space a little bit, and then as a provider, of course, and then in the interstitial space between all those. So I've touched a lot of different pieces of healthcare in my career.
So, okay, so we'll give you not just the front of the T-shirt, Ross. We'll give you the back as well.
I like that.
That good?
Makes it all worth it.
Anyway, so who else is here?
Harris Friedis wasn't let in, Alex, so I told him to retry.
Let Harrison, Pat.
I don't have to let
Employee abuse. Anyway,
here.
Atisha's here. Hey, Atisha, say a few words. Or maybe she's not.
Hello.
Are you driving again? Don't get road rage at us.
No, I actually was only going to be here till 5:30, but I guess I'm going to be here for the full time now because there's a snowstorm and I won't be making it to the gym.
Yeah, well, you know, you can work out while you do this. You know, we do that sometimes.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, just get the weights, you know, kettlebells, you know, whatever makes you happy. Or isometrics are good, you know. Anyway, okay, so who else is here?
You can start already.
That's everybody. That's all our judges were here. Okay, a lot of other people are going to come and go. Just because it's not a great time for everybody. But if you are a judge and you have to go, just make sure that you fill out your form and what have you. So, and I ask everybody to be part of the judging because I don't know about you, but I saw the people who registered with that, and as usual, there's just so many amazing people that know a lot, and I want their opinion. So I want everybody to go to the chat box right now. And that if you want to show them, and click on that link that says, you know, yeah, the one by Patrick Hurd in the middle here, and click on that, and it'll open up a form that looks like this. That if you want to click on the background image now. Well, I still see the chat box up on yours. Or is that mine?
That's your chat
That's
box.
my chat box. Anyway, so you'll see a form that looks like this. That's actually the third page of it, I think. But can you go back to the first one? Anyway, so it'll ask you for your name and if you want to, and what part of healthcare you're part of. You can write in whatever you want. Shows you the T-shirt. That's the female version. The male version, you know, doesn't have the V-neck and isn't as shaped. And tells your size and what have you. But it's going to ask you if we can share your feedback with the teams. If you don't want to, that's fine. You can do it anonymously. We'll just take your name off of it, but they'll still get, you know, some of the stuff. And then once we actually get into the pitches, you have these 6 basic questions that we ask, which we find works pretty well. I mean, as you can see, the first thing we're concerned about, is it going to be clinically beneficial? Now we try to screen for that, but we also want your opinion on, you know, on that. Is it feasible? Is it something that's going to work? You know, is it really innovative, or have you seen this before and it's going to be an also ran? You know, how if it was your $10,000, would you give it to them, or your $100,000, would you give it to them so it's fundable? if it can go worldwide without too much insanity. Brain damage, as my partner Rob calls it. Presentation quality.
The judging link is not on here.
The link is not on here. Okay, so I may make fun of myself as technically challenged, but I'm really just channeling how I feel about my brother. So I do know it's in there.
Well, I'm not the only one. I see Ross Martin thinks the same thing.
Okay, drop a new link in there. Yeah, and I make fun of him a lot, but so you know he's much better about it now than I am. Anyway, so at the end of each one, just make sure you do not use your browser buttons for back and next. I mean, for forward and back, use the ones on the bottom, which are back and next. And if you do miss one, like we're all gonna have to skip the team that didn't show up. Yeah, number 8. So you're gonna have to skip through that section. I worry that we're not going to. So we're gonna stop and pause at that point to make sure everybody's on the right page. But anyway, so John, did that link work?
Yes, it's working.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I think you should have the ability to be more than one thing, by the way. You can be a patient activist and an investor, as an example.
I know, it's a limitation of the Google document. But I will tell you, if you sign up on medstarter.com, as most of you already have, you can say all the different categories you are, all the areas of interest you are, and then every time a new project that hits your areas of interest, it's going to actually send you those new ideas that come on the platform. And there's always new ones coming in every week. So it's very exciting. So I think there's 12 there now. So we also have sponsors and other activities that we're doing that we'd like to tell you guys about. I think this is a placeholder for the MedStarter Direct page. Do they have a real page on that? No. John, you want to tell them about Eris and MedStarter Direct?
MedStarter Direct is a company that we started, I don't know, 6 months ago, perhaps, in order to capitalize. Well, what it does, it sources health tech, largely health tech, but also some energy products, and then we try and sell them to various entities. We have something called Active Pure, which is an air purification technology that has a clearance from the FDA. It's a Class 2 medical device. The only thing that has it using this photocatalytic oxidation technology, which basically produces superoxides, hydroxyls, and H2O2, and then fans it out into a room. So it actually attacks and kills COVID. We've just done airborne testing in Texas in an Army facility, and it's been proven to kill 100% upon contact. In 3 minutes, it kills everything within the size of the room that we were able to get. Only like 3 entities in the world have tested it in the air because governments don't allow it because it's too dangerous. We also kill everything on the surface. So we're trying to sell. We got a pilot with the Department of Education yesterday, a New York City Department of Education. We're trying to sell the Archdiocese. You know, I was late to this because we were talking to a guy about McDonald's and Ronald McDonald's house and a lot of big real estate companies. And
so John, if somebody wants it for their hospital, their medical office, their school, whatever, just go to medstarter.direct.com. You can see the whole
MedStarter.direct, I think, works. And but we have links in every MedStarter, address you can try, and to MedStarter Direct, and you can, there's a myriad of ways to contact us through the website. It's only being sold B2B, but we're about to go to retail too.
That's great. Thanks. So it's a professional sales organization for medical innovations that we started this year.
About 8 people dedicated to working in it. So.
Yep. Some great stuff there. Not just the COVID killing air purifying device. Who else do we have here? Cohen Resnick is our accountants. Also, they provide services to the startups that we invest in on a pro bono basis initially. And I don't know if they're here today, but they sometimes come. Who else we have in the sponsor list? McCarter and English is our attorney since 2012, I think. They do all of our legal work. They're fantastic, very smart, very clever. Joe Daniels is our guy there if you guys ever need a lawyer. It's also part of the package for the companies that we invest in. They get a bunch of this help. And I think Oscar Insurance is in there. Oh, Jerry IT, great developers. I don't know if Eugene is here today, but but really great team at developing websites and stuff out of Ukraine, does a great job. And they also contribute to our acceleration. Rob Delianaris is here. Rob, you didn't introduce yourself.
Hi guys, thank you for sitting through the intro. So we are going to get started very soon. I am a MedStarter investor and partner and help manage fees for the fund and vet new investments and accelerate current investments and help raise money. And I do my best to keep Alex in line on a day-to-day, which could be a full time, as you know.
You're not doing a very good job.
I know him, might know. But we are ready to kick off now with the.
You tell somebody wants me to go faster.
Yeah.
Right.
So I will
And here
note
we
that Rob's
go.
greatest
I second
attribute,
that emotion.
Rob's greatest skill is strategic advisement. When a startup needs somebody to like sort of think through and think of the best path and doesn't know what to do, he's your man. So when we invest in any company, they get an MVP who's their design, or MedStarter venture partner. It's me, John, or Rob, who's sort of their lead. And if you get Rob, you're very lucky.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Okay. John, often Rob takes over.
yeah, that's true. We all sort of switch on and off, but okay, so we ready for our first presentation? If everybody goes through the judging form, get through that first section. I'm going to do it myself now.
And we should all mute ourselves, right, Alex?
Yeah, especially you. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but the judges represent not just investors, but leaders from all across the healthcare spectrum. They're doctors, patient activists, engineers, and the like. So it's that is a part of the model. If you look at the MedStarter, plus sign is actually 4 people holding hands, which are the patient, physician, I can't left, I cannot look, partners and institutions that are the key stakeholders, in addition to investors and the actual entrepreneurs themselves. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I will say this before we start, and we're going to start with our first pitch now. But Alex is tough to rival in his networking and pulling everything together. And these companies, I don't know if everyone has participated in the other heats, but there's really some dynamic companies that have been pitching, and Alex pulls that together. And that's something that I'm not able to do and John's not able to do. So we try to keep him in his wheelhouse, which he's really good at. And so here we go. And Alex, you take it away.
thanks, Rob. Good to know I have job security.
Good.
So it is true. I do try to bring everybody, and actually you don't really need me much anymore. Pat is actually, 75% of everything I can do, he does. So this is, but it is a huge global network, and that's really just been the work of years and years of dedication to healthcare startups, and that's really what MedStarter brings, not me. Okay, so enough about us. Gabby Smartcare, led by Jonathan Baut, is up first. Now, if you see in your form, which should look like this, if anybody's looking, this is what ours looks like. I don't know if you can see. So you can see up here is actually a link to their presentation and a link to their website, and there's a little bit of information there about the team. So you should be on this page. And there's Pat. Say hi to Pat. So Jonathan, if you want to share your screen, we're going to have 5 minutes when Heather's ready, and then 5 minutes for Q&A. And, I'm going to tell everybody, just be brief with your questions and your answers, because you don't want to just answer one question. Now, obviously, Jonathan is practiced at this. He made it through the semifinals. I will shut up and let John talk.
Thanks, Alex. So hi, everyone. I'm Jonathan Baut, and I'm one of the co-founders of the company Gabby Smartcare. 7 days after birth, my daughter almost died from respiratory troubles. So this was one of the most scary situations of my life. No matter how skilled you are, you're still at the mercy of the child that needs care. The thing is that I'm not the only one. Actually, 38% of all children visit ER or are hospitalized every year. This really shows how much pediatric care is lagging behind in terms of innovation. And actually, that's kind of dramatic. Like the first year of life, you're building everything that's going to protect yourself for the rest of your life. Not addressing these issues at the right time really means taking the risk to turn them into lifelong health issues. But why is this happening? Well, the problem is that it's basically self-reported data. The child cannot talk, the parents struggle to report their child condition subjectively, and some diagnosis tests are simply not existing for very young patients. So physicians are lacking from objective data, which leads to up to 40% of diagnosis errors and up to 3 years of diagnosis period. So Smartcare has built the first smart digital health platform dedicated to pediatrics and enabled by hardware to provide unique actionable data to all stakeholders to better prevent, diagnose, and also survey pediatric conditions. This fully integrated solution connects the physicians and the patients. The cloud platform is fed by the Gabi Baby Band, a medical monitoring tool, and these data are then processed with proprietary medical interpretation algorithms. All these actionable data are then compiled into a complete and comprehensive health assessment report, available through a dedicated web interface. This is a problem that really affects everyone, with more than 600 million children under 5 years old worldwide. 250 million visit ER or are admitted to the hospital every year. 60% of them are linked to respiratory issues, which is also the main cause of death under 5 years old. And this is the reason why Smartcare decided to have a first main focus on respiratory troubles. As you know, this is a proven market on the adult side, with amazing solutions proving every day the added value and the quality of care. But nothing on the pediatric side exists because the challenges are very different. The hardware needs to be miniaturized, obviously, but the signal processing needs to be tailor-made. If you equip a child with an adult solution, it will return false values simply because the signal monitored by those medical wearables has a different amplitude, form factor, or even shape. And all of this requires tailor-made developments. Last differentiators, but not least, Smartcare is currently working with a Children's National Hospital partner on specific medical interpretation algorithms to early detect and prevent complications linked to respiratory troubles. To make a real difference, we decided to bring our first solution to 3 stakeholders: the pharma and the CROs company to help them to accelerate drug developments, to hospital to enable them to early diagnose and better surveil pediatric conditions, and finally to parents to prevent complications at the earliest. The company was founded in 2017, and since then we have iterated our solution until it's been validated through pilots. We also have certified the company ISO 13485, and we've entered into several strategic partnerships with KOLs such as Johnson & Johnson, but also BARDA, and 3 hospitals in Europe, in the US, such as the Children's National Hospital in Washington, DC. And we just launched now a new pilot study with the National Children's Hospital in Belgium. All of these to reach this level, a completely functional and validated solution that is EPA and GDPR compliant, as well as FCC and CE consumer certified. We have now a detailed roadmap in front of us to reach 4 main milestones. First, validate the market fit of our product through pilots with, amongst others, the Children's National Hospital in Washington, DC, get the 510(k) approval, convert one of our partners into a first B2B customer, and finally, validate the first medical interpretation algorithms by the end of 2022. To do this, we need 24 months and about $5 million, from which we already have 2.5 million committed now, including 1.5 million of non-dilutive funding. To be as efficient as possible, we have assembled a world-class team of experts with more than 100 years of experience, in this field, and has advised us some of the world's leading hospital and pharmaceutical companies, a top-notch team that will take this investment further and accelerate the technology to the next level. So we've just talked about many things, but I'd like you to remember 3 things. We want to reshape the future of an underserved and yet pretty big population that deserves it. We have a clear plan to roll out, and we have an amazing and dedicated team to make a real difference. Thanks a lot.
Great job, John.
Perfect, thank you.
So now 5 minutes of Q&A. And so let's hear from the audience, the crowd, our MedStarter mentors. Anybody have questions for Jonathan from Gabi Care? Anybody?
I have a question. Could you go a little bit more in details into the regulation and what type of class are you going to certify your device in? And would that be a blocker, do you think, for the market?
Yeah, so yes, it's going to be a class 2 certification. We have built that roadmap that I'm just sharing with you with successful medtech entrepreneurs that have been through that roadmap precisely for their solutions. Also, besides that, we have a partnership with BARDA. We are part of the Blue Knight program, which was put together by BARDA to create an ecosystem to protect the US against future health threats. And BARDA has people working for the FDA as well within its team. And so that's part of the kind of program that we have with them, is that we are basically benefiting from their feedback to make sure that, you know, the roadmap is complete and that we're really reaching the right milestones to get that 510K as soon as possible.
Don, we're in the US, so what's BARDA? Is some Belgian thing?
Excuse me?
What's BARDA?
Oh, sorry.
BARDA's US.
BARDA is US, yeah.
Okay. And I see, can we see the devices? I mean, I see all the pictures on online, but what is that noise? Whoever's making that noise, please mute yourself. So do you have a physical device that you can show us?
Yeah, can you see that?
No, I meant in real life or on.
Oh, sorry. No.
If you're on a video like this.
Yeah, no, I don't. Sorry, it's like 10 a.m., 10:30, and I'm at my house, and I don't have the device with me.
Right. I mean, you have these implemented someplace. People that are on babies.
If I have, sorry, I didn't get it.
Are there any out there being used, tested, trials,
yes.
prototypes? How many?
Yes, we have. So we have units used currently by a children's hospital in Belgium now. Yeah.
So you're doing a pilot now?
Yeah, we have a pilot currently. Yep.
And so how many devices do you have? I mean, is it ready for manufacturing?
We have 5 devices that are in use now. We have 250 units that are under production and that will be received during December.
Okay.
We're going to extend the pilots from there.
And they look like these baby Gabby monitors or whatever they're called?
Absolutely. Well, these one are real. It's like these ones have been used on, that's the product that is currently used on children.
Okay. And so where do you expect to be rolling out first?
In terms of countries, you mean?
Yeah. Hospital partners.
The US is definitely the main country for us. It's the main market for us. And that's the reason why the partnership that we're currently building with the Children's National Hospital in Washington, D.C. is key for us as well.
Yeah,
Can you talk about the 8 parameters and which ones you're doing that are augmenting existing things that are monitored routinely in NICUs and on hospital floors?
Sure. So here are the parameters that we're currently monitoring. So SpO2, heart rate variability, respiratory rate. We also have skin temperature, which enables us to have the variability of the temperature, activity, and the position. And basically, if you want to see what's used, well, you know how it's used in the hospitals, but this is typically the type of remote monitoring system that is currently used by the hospital currently for as soon as you have a child that is at risk and that really needs a remote monitoring system. This is the kind of monitoring that you're going to get. You don't have any connections. It's only for heart rate and respiratory. So you don't have the SpO2, which is one of the major parameters that you need for triage questions. And so you need to empty the memory at the hospital every 2 weeks or a month maximum. So you have a certain delay in terms of medical interpretation. So that's the kind of added value that we bring. It's like comfort, real life connections, which enables also a much higher level of reactivity from the healthcare professionals. This is with the monitoring tool that we have, but obviously we want to go much beyond that, and that's why we're currently working on prevention and diagnosis algorithms as well.
Okay, so you're raising $5 million. What are you gonna do with that? I see PMF validations, 510K, medical interpretation, SMD. So you basically, what is PMF?
Product market fit validations.
Yes, of course.
With hospitals, right.
So getting approval, and you already have that customer lined up. And medical interpretation, SMD, subject matter, I have no idea.
Software has a medical device, sorry.
And just look at that, you spent your last few seconds explaining the jargon that you put into your slides. So it's very, very good job, exciting stuff. You know, it looks like it's gonna make a real benefit. So judges, if you'll take a moment to finish, and not just judges, everybody, please. And if you haven't done it, it's not too late. Click on the link and go down in there and see, you know, get to that Gabby Smartcare page and tell us what you think of it. I'm going to finish up mine right now. If the next presenter will, which I think is Elbe Valley, will get their presentation up. We'll get right to that in a second. And I'll tell you directly, you're going to lose a few points on presentation quality because I don't like jargon. But
thanks, everyone.
That's just mine. It's just my opinion. You know,
I think it's only when you don't know the jargon, Alex, actually.
I should know the jargon, I guess. But, you know, even if I know the jargon, I don't want to try to figure out some TLA, 3-letter acronym.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. No, it's great. And things like, you know, BARDA and whatever, you know, I mean, it's just, you know, the audience, because it's not just medical device professionals, they're patient activists, they're, you know, non-specific, whatever folks like me, you know, we don't always know everything that you know.
Ease of understanding matters, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, especially for investors. Okay, so now this next team up is Rob Reynolds. Really did fantastic. Very excited about his nanobots. Nanobots that can actually be made. I see he's already up and ready. So judges, everybody else, are you ready? I don't have the right view on, so I don't see everybody. Let me go to review. Side-by-side gallery. Okay, so if anybody needs more time, just, you know, raise your hand or say something. I'm not going to count Jonathan's hand being raised. And now we also, you know, you can also help judge if you're another startup entrepreneur, because guys like Rich Hanbury and Jonathan and Gerald, you know, have done some amazing stuff, and I would love to have their opinions. I will caution you though, if you rate your own company in that, especially if you give yourself all 10s, Rob is going to get really pissed. So don't do that. You don't want Rob pissed. Not you, Rob. My Rob Deli, an artist. Yeah, he disqualified a company that, you know, that won the contest because they did that, and I was just like, she's just being a scrappy entrepreneur, you know. But you know, we notice these things, so we're kind of data people, or at least I am. Anyway,
wonderful.
Yeah. So, Heather, I guess you're ready.
Ready.
There you are. Okay, cool. Rob, take it away. 5 minutes.
Wonderful. So every year we have about 9.2 million people die from cancer, from different tumors around the world. That's about 22,000 people every single day. And today I'm going to show you something, because we've got something to say about that. So our purpose is to protect the people that we care about cancer, because we believe a large proportion of those 9.1 million can be saved. So our solution, our niche is initially the largest and most aggressive tumors where there isn't any viable treatment at the moment. And our technology is suitable for all types of solid tumors, both early and late. And we're planning to deliver this in the US at a very low cost of around $6,000 per treatment for one-time treatment. So the way the treatment works is from a patient's experience point of view, you get injected intravenously into the arm, and then you're placed on this piece of equipment made by our partner inside this MRI. The treatment time is about 30 minutes, and when you come out, the tumor is dead. It's not dying, the tissue is dead. So how do we do that? Well, when the patient is injected with these microbots, they travel around everywhere in the blood, as you can see here. And they just travel naturally with the blood, but we can activate them at the tumor location, because a tumor tends to have a necrotic core. So when the devices reach 41 degrees C, they simply open their arms, and they no longer can pass freely through blood capillaries. So they embolize the tissue. And in a very short period of time, with the oxygen cut off, with the sugars cut off, that tissue dies. And so we can track all of this in real time with the MRI during the treatment. At the end, they just return to their normal size and blood flow returns as normal. So we've had some excellent preclinical results from the University of Sheffield. We were able to demonstrate safety even with an overdose condition where they were exposed to, I guess, 20 times the concentration we'd like to give in the clinical setting. And we've shown really strong signs of efficacy with both tumor types, 4T1 and MDA231 tumors. So the devices themselves are quite small. You can see they're compared to the size of a human hair. And on the right-hand side there, that's 1 milliliter of liquid. And we'll need about 1/16 of that volume is the dry volume of microbots that would be injected into the patient. So this is my favorite slide of all. You can see here this fluorescent coloring, that's the microbots actually building up inside the tumor tissue in one of the mice in real time. So we were able to show, as I was saying, some really strong signs of hypoxia. This happened 24 hours after the treatment was given to the mice. The mice were sacrificed and the organs were removed. So our forward plan, we're planning to do a further animal trial next year. It's probably H2 2021, thanks to COVID, in France with dogs with naturally occurring cancers. And we're planning then after that to move on to a phase 1 clinical trial in 2023. In the meantime, we'll be entering the veterinary market. It's a market size of $1 billion between the US and Europe. So it's a faster access to revenue. We already have a European distributor appointed, and we have a very impressive lineup of partners who are working with us currently. So the team is yours truly. Douglas Seabrook is our CEO. Dr. Shalja Kumar is our organic chemist, and we have a commercialization expert in the UK and also a quality person in the US. And Dr. Frank Sullivan is a key opinion leader for prostate cancer based in Galway in Ireland. He's also one of our investors. So we're planning to be cash generating because we expect to go to revenue shortly after our animal trial in the veterinary market. We have a very nice margin and we're expecting to generate quite large revenues in 2024. So that's it, 40 seconds beforehand.
It's okay. Well, that's
very good.
We'll add that to your Q&A section. I'll start it off because the thing that always gets me with this is that, you know, how can that not be killing somebody accidentally, you know, if you've activated it in the brain or whatever. And also, I guess the second part of it is how long does it take hypoxia to kill off, you know, a large tumor?
So the first question is, well, as part of the safety arm of the trial, we wanted to simulate a massive clinical mistake. So the devices that we injected were the size of activated microbots. Excuse me. So yeah, they're the size of activated microbots. And so it's the same as if 20 nurses came in back to back, injected a patient, didn't document anything, and then the patient was put beside a really strong radio transmitter. So all the devices get activated at once. So that's how we got the safety profile. And I can't remember, what was the second part of your question, Alex?
Well, I mean, I'm still on the first part because so you're saying that even if you activate it, even if you have too much of it in your blood, and you get over 41C because there's a radio signal that's heating them up or whatever, you're saying it's still not going to be dangerous if they're not in the MRI unit and you're not seeing what's going on?
Yes, because as you sit down, some of your blood capillaries are already getting cut off in your elbow, in your hand, for example, but there are backups. So when you cut off, because the distribution of the devices is so spread out through the body, there's not enough of them in any one local place to do damage, even when they're all activated. That's what we've seen from the preclinical trial.
So somehow the necrotic tissue, you're saying somehow the necrotic core of the tumor will then attract a large quantity of them just around it.
That's correct, because it will heat up like a sausage in a microwave. And so the living cancer tissue that still has a blood supply, the microbots enter it, they reach 41 degrees. Why is it
specific to the necrotic flesh? I mean, to the necrotic core?
It actually doesn't need to be, but our partner already has this device on the market. It's already CE marked and it's FDA approved. So it's just a minor change in the therapy starting off. But we can use this to treat non-cancerous tissue with a future device that they're bringing out where two RF beams intersect. They form a voxel, and you can destroy any tissue basically with that.
So you have to know where it is. You can't just like inject this in and not have it directed at specific tumor areas.
Well, with the first version of the treatment, you inject them, the devices go absolutely everywhere around the body. Then you lie in that MRI system, and the Pyrexor system heats up that necrotic tissue naturally. So the living tissue still has a blood supply, so it's temperature regulated.
Okay, so the necrotic tissue. So that the system somehow heats up the necrotic tissue, and that's what attracts it, regardless of where the necrotic tissue is. Okay.
Exactly. So if you have multiple tumors, they can all be treated in theory.
So no other part, so nothing else inside a person is getting heated up.
Strictly speaking, they are, but because there's a blood supply moving that heat around, taking the heat away, the body is regulating the temperature. So it's only the necrotic tissue that you see the temperature start to peak, because there is no blood taking that heat away.
No blood. Poor circulation in your feet or something, it's still not a problem.
Well, you still have blood flow in the feet, even with poor circulation. It's still getting through the tissue. Mm-hmm.
Okay, other questions from other than my brother and I? You take
quick question.
Go ahead.
What is the ask right now, and how do you see that funding being used?
We're asking for up to 2 million at the moment. We already have 10 million secured by way of a virtual merger with a fund in Texas. So really what we're looking for is human capital, actually more than capital itself, more than financial capital.
What kind of valuation are you at?
We're at a valuation of around 30 million at the moment.
I have a question.
You raised 10 million and 30 million.
That includes
leave,
10 million.
Leave that alone for now. Atisha, yeah. What do you want to ask?
You actually stole my first question.
I did? Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that was good.
You got to come up with more. I know your brain works pretty well, so.
I have a question about tumor load and necrosis. And is there if you kill the entire tumor off quickly, I don't actually know how the body fields that if it's a large tumor. Is that are you going to, all that necrotic tissue all at once? Is that going to create an impact and having a negative effect?
All right, last question.
We have two choices on that front. One is in the case where you want to have a very large tumor, there may be a small keyhole surgery to debulk that dead tissue. That's one option. Another option is we can section the treatment. So we don't kill all the tumor in the first treatment, then you go away, the body breaks down the necrotic tissue, and then we destroy the next one, the next piece.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you. 5 minutes.
Very welcome. Thanks, guys.
I will note that great job, Rob. Always exciting to see your stuff. We'll look forward to working with you. And I will say that if you have additional questions, so I know Ross, you've got more questions. Tisha, I'm sure you have others. But just put it in the chat box. And all the entrepreneurs here, all the innovators who are presenting, please just go into the chat box, answer the questions there for everybody. We do copy all that down afterward and go through that as part of our due diligence process later as well. And yes, that'd be great. Okay, so if you guys will take a moment to do your Q&A. I hear we actually had some problems with the Eventbrite site. Hopefully folks have been coming in from that. Yeah, it looks like it's increased. Pat, is that problem all fixed?
Yeah, for some reason Zoom blocked a bunch of people's emails.
Zoom was blocking people. That's not fun. Oh, I see Ivy Cohen is here. And George Hatzman. So if anybody hasn't introduced themselves, who's shown up, who's a judge, guys like George. George is one of our investors. Ivy is a longtime partner and consultant, marketing and all sorts of stuff. I see her here. Okay. So next up, if you guys are done doing your judging stuff, is Max Ostermeier from Implant Data, which is number 3 on your list. It has a link to his presentation as well as his project on MedStarter if you're excited about this. And so the timer is ready and all the judges are ready. I see John is still looking down. John, are you still filling out your judging stuff? We can wait. Okay, so it looks like most people are done. Okay, Max, take it away.
All right. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Max Ostermeier, and I'm the CEO and founder of Implant Data. And we are going to transform management of glaucoma patients by introducing remote monitoring of the disease. So the problem is that at the moment, there is approximately 80 million people at risk of permanent vision loss because of glaucoma. And because of aging populations all over the world, this number of patients will increase significantly in the coming decades. And despite a wealth of treatment options, glaucoma is still a leading cause of vision loss and blindness worldwide. And the market we are addressing is quite significant. So the challenge in treating glaucoma patients is that today, care is primarily eye center based, resulting in more than 15 million office visits per year only in the US. And typically, a patient is seen by the eye doctor every 3 to 4 months. But in between these office visits, it's totally unknown how the patients are doing, if the disease is progressing, how they respond to medication. And that's also why so many patients are still losing vision, so they are diagnosed and under management. So we are going to change that by introducing remote glaucoma monitoring care. So basically we have an holistic system via biosensors. We are collecting important disease information at the patient around the clock. And that information is sent into a cloud-based database where it's processed and prepared in a way so that the eye doctor has
Max? Max, we can't hear you. So is that just me that we can't hear Max?
No, I can't hear him either. He locked up.
Yeah, Max.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
Hello?
Yes. We lost about 30 seconds.
Okay, I'm jumping back. I think, did you got that one?
I think we got this one. It was in the middle
of that one. Okay, so actually our system is for remote monitoring and care of glaucoma patients. And it consists of biosensors which are collecting important disease information at the patient around the clock under normal life conditions. And this information is sent into a cloud-based database by which the eye doctor understands how his patients are doing, if the medication or the therapy works for patient. And that also allows him to early on adjust the therapy. And evenly important is the involvement of the patients. So we have done a patient app by which patients are informed about the disease status and how the therapy is working for them. And that's empowering the patient, resulting also in better therapy compliance of the patient. So we own the whole pipeline. We own from data collection through data analysis to therapy guidance. We have different versions of the microsensors, which are implantable at the moment, either implanted in conjunction with glaucoma surgery or cataract surgery. But we are already working on next generation where the sensor can be also used standalone in an injectable way. Patients are extremely excited about our product because it's empowering them. And patients tell us that it's reducing severities to lose vision because of glaucoma, and nearly all patients would recommend it also to other patients. Eye care specialists are similarly enthusiastic because it provides currently unobtainable information to them, understanding how a patient's glaucoma really is, how a patient responds to therapy, and that's really enabling them to early on adjust therapy. So in regard of competition, there is several competitors, but they are still early. They are still a few years behind us. We have built up strong IP portfolio and significant trade secret, and we are also first to market, which gives us a huge advantage here. In regard of go-to-market, we are starting commercialization next year in Europe, in certain key countries with early adopting eye centers, but we are already preparing studies in the US and Asia, which are going to pave the path to approval in these territories. In regard of the business model, basically we have two components. We have one-time sales for the for the sensors, for the devices, and also the surgeons will make money. But more importantly, we have recurring revenues. There is, especially in the US, already established CPT codes for patient home monitoring, which provide long-term revenues for the company as well as for the eye care specialists. And in regard of potential, market potential, if we only look at Europe and North America and stare at advanced glaucoma patients and only assuming a 10% market penetration, would be already able to yield significant revenues. Quickly on the team, beside myself, we have an experienced team of medical device entrepreneurs, German, US based. Also the board is very experienced with seasoned people on the board. And we are also especially happy about our world-class medical advisory board with experts in the field, not only from Europe, but also US and Asia. So to summarize, we do have CE mark and extensive clinical data showing safety and utility. New payer models will take care for recurring revenues. And right now we are raising a Series D in order to launch the product in Europe, to start with the FDA regulatory process, and also to advance our product pipeline. And with that funding, we believe that we are well positioned for a potential trade sale in the next 2 to 3 years. And we are already in contact with some of these potential buyers. All right, thank you.
That's great. That's 5 minutes. Thank you.
So I'm gonna have the first question. What's your, I think you sent this at the end, potential buyers of the product or of your company? What's your exit strategy?
Actually, we are clearly targeting for a trade sale. And, we want to really do the proof of concept and the proof of the market. But to really scale up, we would rather work with large companies like Alcon, like J&J Vision, which has this global network in place to the product.
Excuse me. Yeah, that's a great answer. Other questions?
Why do you need this group as opposed to the investors that you already have?
Right now, we are really starting activities in the US. And so we really want to target now for US investors to move forward with the FDA. So existing investors will also contribute to this funding round. But as always, with a new funding round, you always want to see also new investors coming into the company.
I didn't see an ask slide in here. What is your current raise?
Actually, we are currently raising 20 million Series D.
Mm-hmm. Okay. With a pretty high valuation, I'm sure.
No, actually, I think we're realistic. We have raised so far 18 million, and the pre-money would be around 25.
Okay, that's not bad. Okay, and you've implanted these? I mean, it is an implantable eye thing.
Yes, absolutely. We have done so far close to 80 patients. We have now the longest implanted patient for close to 10 years. And we hadn't had any device malfunction. So the devices are very well understood and very, very well tolerated. And it's a ophthalmic surgical product, and you may know cataract surgery is one of the most frequent surgeries done worldwide. And so there is a lot of similarities with that.
And I assume that with this additional data, you're going to get a lot of new information about what affects people. Is it like a continuous stream of data about pressure inside the eye?
Absolutely. Usually, as I said, a patient sees the eye doctor 3 to 4 times a year. And with our device, you really collect 365 days, 24 hours. And so we have a lot of data points. And here also artificial intelligence and data analysis comes into the game. So
you don't talk about diabetes much. I mean, I assume this works for diabetic glaucoma situations too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any eye disease, if it's age-related or diabetes related, is of relevance with that.
Okay. I'm going to stop asking questions. Other mentors?
Alex, do you have any competitors?
Oh, go ahead.
Great question, Tisha.
Say it again, please.
She asked about competitors.
Absolutely. There is a group of competitors which is primarily US-based. Glaukos, which is a big player, started their own project, Inject and Cura. They are US-based. They together already raised approximately $60 million, but are still in the kind of preclinical or are just about to start with preclinicals. And since this is a class 3 product, you have to follow a certain regulatory protocol. So the competitors are at least 3 years behind us. but it's crowded. It's getting crowded, you know. But I think that's good. That there is also some other companies working on this.
So just a question, can you talk a little bit about your manufacturability of the product?
Yeah, you know, actually, we are using components out of the semiconductor industry. So the problem is not so much the high volume. The problem which we are facing right now is it's a very small volume where you do only a couple of dozens or hundreds of devices. So since we are using processes out of the semiconductor industry, producing the sensor chips on a wafer, the higher the volume, the better in regard of manufacture. In regard of manufacturing.
It might have been like
Do you plan on having non-alarming system when the hypertension goes up or down?
You know, intraocular pressure is, as any physiological parameter, very, very dynamic. And right now, it's only measurements are only taken as a snapshot. And our system really provides that kind of circadian pressure profile. And you really understand at what time of the day the pressure is too high. And by that, you can really adjust therapy accordingly. So I think that's a huge benefit, that you really have the full picture instead of only having single snapshots, which are not really representative of what's going on with the patient.
Yeah, COM product.
I have a quick question. I've got a question to comment. One comment is, in the U.S., the African American population is about twice as likely to have glaucoma as and your presentation has no people of color in your faces. So one thing to think about when you're presenting here. Second is, do you think that I can see that the therapeutic value is both in the clinical understanding of what's going on at 24/7, but also the patient compliance, them being able to see, oh, I'm not taking my meds and I really do see a change when I'm not taking my meds or not. What are you seeing as the biggest impact? Is it that consumer compliance component, that really they can be empowered to understand what's going on with something they can't feel or taste?
I think it's hard to tell right now. Certainly both components are, I think, contributing to it. You know, you've got also patients who are super compliant and still getting the wrong medication. But on the other hand, you also see a lot of patients not being so compliant. So I think at the moment, with the data we've seen so far, it's really hard to tell. I think once you have done thousands or 10,000 of patients in larger studies, then you might develop a better understanding. But we believe both components, you know, the improvement of in the compliance, but as well the personalized treatment of patients will contribute to a better outcome.
All right, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Fantastic job, Max. I put in my comments, but I'll tell you here too. So everybody knows what CGMs are, right? So you really should you should use POPM here. And I think it'll help people. It's like a metaphor for what you guys are doing. A continuous ocular pressure monitoring system, which is going to deliver so much more data. And just for diabetics like me who have worn a CGM, we know how much better that is. And I don't want to go blind. So I would probably bring a little bit more of the evocative into your and communicative methods in there. So folks like Ivy Cohen, who hopefully has managed to get past the barrier we put in place accidentally, can help you with that. Our MedStarter mentors and folks who work with us.
Gladly.
Are you here, Ivy? There you are. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Okay.
Gotcha, got me back in.
Yeah, no, apparently it messed a lot of people up. So so great job. So next up is one of our winners. I think they won Heat 1, Floel. I don't know if Dr. Gill has made it into the house yet. I know that one of our mentors that I wanted to see this specifically. Let me just text her and see if she's coming. I can never look at it later, but so okay. So Gerald, if you want to bring your presentation up. She's on California daylight or standard time. Gerald, if you want to make fun of me for that, so that Gerald actually, I think I called it EST instead of EDT or something like that, and he quickly disabused me of the notion that the two are the same. So I always like to learn things and be disabused of my incorrect notions. Okay, so if all the judges are ready, I see that Melissa is watching with rapt attention. I always feel a lot of you are too young for this, but I always feel like a little bit like in romper room when I'm looking at a Zoom meeting, like, I see Melissa, I see Rohini. Okay, I'll shut up and let Gerald speak. Anytime, Gerald. Gerald, you got the mute button on. Mute. We can't hear you. You need to press the button. Gerald.
Pat, can you help him?
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Alex?
Yes, we can hear you now. It's much better.
Okay. So look at these three gorgeous women, different ages, and they could all have a condition that really ruins their life called urinary incontinence. So let's tell the story of what these people are going through. And there we go.
Here we go.
So this is a very big problem. In the US, there's 20 million women that have this problem. In Europe, there's 30 million. They're not all old ladies. There are 25% of them in the 18 to 45 bracket. And you can see the distribution here. And we look at worldwide, it's 500 million potential customers worldwide. This is a very big problem. And if you were to look at your wife, your neighbor, your aunts, you would probably find a lot of them already have urinary incontinence. They just are too embarrassed to tell you that they have. What is it? It's unwanted urine leakage. So whenever she coughs, laughs, sneezes, jumps, lifts, etc., she raises the pressure in her abdomen, increases the pressure on her bladder, and a little bit of urine comes out. And that's usually absorbed by a pad, but the pad allows the thighs to be somewhat wet. So she now gets irritated while walking, gets infections, ulcers, embarrassment, etc. And it's expensive. These pads plus mattress pads plus dry cleaning is $2,300 a year for these women. And they really can't even travel without knowing where the nearest bathrooms are. So no travel, no vacations. And for elderly women who can't change their diapers themselves, they get stuck in a nursing home away from their family. We were introducing a product that can bring these women back home and plus keep diapers out of recycling. The solution is a device that goes in the female urethra, stays there 4 months, allows normal urine flow, but whenever she sneezes or laughs or coughs, the pressure on the urethra presses on our device and blocks flow. We have 3 issued patents on the device. We have 1 patent that's about to issue this month and 1 that's still in the process. We did some testing in vitro because there is no animal model, and we designed the device so that when her intra-abdominal pressure gets above 100 centimeters of water, then the valve closes. And on the right, you see actual data from a patient who was coughing, and you see her pressure goes up to 150. We actually made a bunch of these devices, tested them in an artificial woman, and the actual closing pressure was 101 centimeters of water, within 1% of what we designed. We got IRB approval, and we did a clinical study. We find that a woman who was incontinent leaked 34 milliliters of urine without the device and nothing with the device. And that's statistically significant at the 0.01 value. One of the issues we have is that women like it so much they want to give it back. They want to go home with it, but according to the IRB, they have to give it back. The plan to market is to complete the current feasibility study in January. Hopefully funding for the pivotal trial will arrive in March. It takes about 6 months to do the trial, then a couple of months to get that ready for the FDA. And the FDA takes about 8 months to go through de novo clearance, so that we'll be beginning sales in about in 2022. Before we actually start sales, we'll hire marketing people and sales people and start pre-selling and getting the doctors convinced it's a good idea before we can actually legally sell it to them. And we're going to start in 2 regions in the US and 2 in Europe, and then the next year expand, double that, and the third year cover all of Europe and all of the US. And shortly before the end of that third year, we'll start the M&A process so that we'll exit via acquisition in about 2025. This is the go-to-market strategy, which I sort of just outlined for you. And the business model is we're selling a prescription-only device to doctors via specialty medical device distributors in Europe and the US. The device needs to be replaced every 4 months because it has an antimicrobial that keeps bacteria off the device. That's a recurring revenue stream. Excuse me, we're selling it to healthcare professionals for $670 for resale to their patients. And after it's been in the market a year, they can get reimbursed. The distributor will buy it at a discount for $560. Our cost of goods is $100, so our margin is over 80%. We have a quintuple value proposition. The doctor makes an extra $180,000 a year. The payer saves $25,000 on incontinence surgery.
30 seconds.
The patient pays less, etc. This is the team, our advisors, and why invest? Good profit margin, happy women, got a regulatory defined pathway, reimbursements already established, and we have an amazing A team. Competition, pads, adhesive patches, nothing really great. Financials, we go to 413 million in year 5, and then we exit at 3.3 times the last year's sales, or 1.3 billion.
That's 5 minutes. Thank you. That was great.
Thank you.
Okay, so just to finish that thought, Gerald, exit strategy is in 5 years. You want to sell the company or
Right.
license the device, right? How long is your patent till your patent expires on this?
Well, the U.S. patent's issued in April of this year, so we have 20 years.
Okay. Okay, let's hear from the other mentors. What are the questions, brother?
I have a question. What has been the feedback from women?
They love it. We did a market research study in the very beginning because we were concerned that women are so used to having something outside the body that they wouldn't want something inside the body. So we interviewed 80 incontinent women, and 96% said yes, they would have a device inside their body. In our clinical studies, we asked the patient if this is comfortable, and they all rated as, they don't even notice it's in there. And again, because it gets rid of their urine leaks, they don't want to give the device back at the end of our short study. So we know they want it.
Are there any shortcomings to the device?
Well, whenever you do a de novo 510K, you have to look at all the possible risks. And so we designed a device that it won't go up into the bladder and it won't come out. And it's long enough so it's not going to turn sideways. And it's saturated with a antimicrobial, so bacteria can't form on it. So we think that all the risks that we've identified, we have handled in the design of the product.
Got it. Thank you.
Can you talk about the removal procedure? Because sometimes removal is harder than insertion.
Right. Well, the device has a loop of suture that doesn't come outside the urethra, but just goes to the inside of the urethral meatus. And we have a device that's like a very dull crochet hook that you just insert in the urethra, turn 90 degrees, it grabs onto the hook, and then onto the loop, and then you pull it out. We lubricate the urethra before we do that so it can slide out. But normally it doesn't slide.
And how long does the procedure take, and is it painful?
Well, we anesthetize the urethra when we put the device in and when we take the device out. And it takes about a minute to put the device in and probably less than that to take the device out. So altogether, it's about 5 minutes.
I have 2 questions. How long did, for your clinical trial or clinical study, how long were the patients wearing it for? And then also, have you done any willingness to pay conversations with payers and HCPs or patients?
Yeah. There are existing CPT codes that cover, putting the device in the urethra and pulling the device out. So we don't have to get a new code. And what was your first question again, Ann?
My first question was around how long for the clinical trial or clinical study that you've done, how long did patients wear it for?
Well, we did a market research study of doctors and hospitals, and we offered them the choice of having the device in 4, 8, or 12 months, and they all chose 4 months. So the clinical study is 4 months with the device in, but there's a month, of recruiting patients and getting them phased in, and then a month at the other end. So it's about a 6-month clinical trial altogether.
Okay, thank you.
Do you anticipate that there would be a longer lasting version of it that is a year, basically to go along with your annual?
Yes, I mean, we can make the device last up to 14 months. And the doctor is the gateway. So it is a prescription-only device. So we have to please the doctors first. But then once it becomes more widely adopted, the doctors may yield to what the patients want, and we could extend the time, the interval in time. It's not a technical decision, it's more of a marketing decision.
Okay, more questions?
In terms of the sort of security of your patent, I know you mentioned it was kind of a unique inside the body device.
Yes.
You know, would there be an easy way for a competitor to have a similar device, or, you know, like, is yours very protected in terms of the specifics?
It's very protected. We not only protected the device itself, but we protected the tools that are used to insert and remove the device. And the device itself, it looks very simple. You can probably see one of them here, but it actually functions like an analog computer, constantly monitoring the pressure in the abdomen and closing when the pressure gets above a threshold and opening again when the pressure goes below. So the precise design of it is very hard to duplicate, and we don't think that's going to be an issue. We have been careful in not putting device drawings on the market or in our presentations because it's so easily copied.
It's 5 minutes. That was great. Thank you.
Thanks, Heather.
Great job, Gerald. And I know the OBGYNs that I talked to love this idea. And so, so we look forward to talking to you further. So if you all take a moment or two to go through the judging form and tell us what you think about clinical benefit potential, feasibility, et cetera, that'd be great. Gerald, do you have you started conversations with any of these potential partners and acquirers?
Yeah, we've had a conversation with Hologic, and they prefer that we do all the work and get through the FDA and get into the market, and then they'll license it from us.
Yeah, that's pretty typical. I mean, the whole medical device acquisition path is something we've been working on a good deal with some of our companies. So it's not easy. And actually, I think we have a former Medtronic person on our panel today.
Medtronic makes a treatment for a different kind of incontinence called urgent incontinence.
Mm-hmm.
They call it gotta go, gotta go.
Gotta go.
And that's sort of a pacemaker for the bladder, but it has no application to what we treat, which is called stress urinary incontinence.
Yeah. Gerald. I'm just chatting a little bit so we make time.
Okay.
But no, this is not additional presentation time. Okay, so yes, it's good to know that you are aware of what's going on in your field. Okay, so we can bring up the next team, Neal Sofian, recommended by one of our mentors. So Neal, if you want to share your screen. Pat, well, there you go. Hopefully you're not just showing the emails. There you go. So Pat, we don't have the translation on the screen like we do. Why is that? Yeah, it's always good to have closed captioning when Alex starts mumbling. Actually, it probably doesn't help. Okay, so you should see 5 Tuzag Neal Sofian on your scoring sheet. So if you get in sync, Heather, if you're ready, we can go on to the next presentation, and then we're going to take a little bit of break. So bio break, food break, whatever you guys need to do. And also think about, your 2021 vision, where you want it to go, what you're going to do. And we're going to just go around the room and ask everybody, hey, what's going to happen for you? Okay, so Neal Sofian, take it away.
Hey, everyone. This is Neal Sofian. I'm CEO of Tuzag. I'm just an old white guy who's got chronic conditions, and I don't have a cool accent like a lot of the folks do today. What we are doing is we're solving the problem of consumer engagement in healthcare. We're becoming a virtual personal concierge and companion for people anywhere across the healthcare continuum. It's huge vertical, 3.5 trillion bucks, and 50% of all costs in healthcare are tied to consumer behavior. And as you look at growing older populations, 10,000 people every day are turning 65. This is a huge population. I'm part of that population, and 50% have a chronic condition. The response in terms of this kind of thing has been a lot of work in virtual care. And that's a given, but a minute is still a minute. And the market lacks a cost-effective way to scale ongoing asynchronous personal communication that can drive optimal care. CRISPR is great. The biology is great, but there's huge money in actually changing consumer behavior. So how do we do that? Our answer is Jamie. Jamie is a virtual member of your care team. She can manage individuals at any stage of care or health. More than just another chatbot, Jamie engages individuals using natural speech recognition and conversational syntax. We think of Jamie as kind of a love child between the Marriage v. Harmony and Amazon for Health. She is a digital concierge and companion. She's built on an integrated tailoring content and development management system, along with an adaptive conversation engine. She generates individualized context-aware conversations and content in real time based upon the end user's interactions and data from other monitoring devices. Sessions can cross all channels, whether that's voice, mobile app, email, web, smart speaker, text, even print, IVR, and sometimes can use multiple channels in the course of one conversation. And she basically can scale. She never takes a day off. She can manage millions of conversations at the same time. The cool part about behavior is, unlike a point solution, when you look at behavior, it crosses all channels. So for employers, she can reduce health and productivity costs. For payers, she can reduce chronic care management costs and can be a retention and revenue generator. For providers in fee-for-service, she's a scalable means to really make remote patient monitoring work. In accountable care organizations, Jamie has an ability to essentially manage large populations of people and refer them to live responders when it's appropriate. And she has a real opportunity in the retail sector in terms of helping people increase the quality and size of a retail basket. Bottom line, she's scalable. She crosses all the channels in healthcare, and she can reduce costs and generate revenue. Where are we? Our platform is built, V2 is built, and we're right now in the process of building V3. We are building our first product, which is called Engagement RX, which is more for payers and for employers, and that's going to be up first quarter of 2021. More the focus on remote patient monitoring and home care and virtual care and aging in place will be completing at the second quarter of 2021. We actually have revenue generating clients. And most importantly, we have strategic partners in Avedon Health, I360. We're completing an SBIR with the University of Illinois Cancer Center to essentially build this out for proof of concept and for developing the kind of channel partners we need to scale. Healthcare sucks in terms of growing a pipeline. And so we have spent the last 2 years building that pipeline. And at this point, we have a significant pipeline and channel partners that allows us to say we're kind of at the end of that path, where we have strong relationships, particularly as we start looking at groups like the mid-tiers of the Locktons, the Alliance, and groups like that, the Mercers, to grow, as well as in the membership sides with groups like Rite Aid, CARP, and others. So we see ourselves having a real opportunity to scale quickly. From a leadership perspective, Dave Bolger and I, were the founders of the company, have combined almost 70 years spending time looking at how do you scale behavior change and use new technology to do that. Our ask is that we've raised just under $1 million at this point. We're trying to raise another 500 million in terms of completing a seed round and then in terms of convertible debt round, and then moving to a seed round of 5 million. Use of that will be for some proof of concepts, expanding sales, and essentially continuing to grow the products and platforms.
So Neal, I didn't even see a revenue model here. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure.
Are you going to be using the CCM codes and such?
Well, it depends on for which part we're talking about.
Okay,
for
well,
employers,
you think you can make money on.
Okay, for employers, it will be on a per member per month or employer per month through the channel of employers and through the channel of the benefits brokers. For remote patient monitoring in a fee-for-service group, it will be CPT codes, and we'll partner with groups like I360 Health.
Okay, no,
and
Neal,
we'll do that.
It's okay, Neal. I just want to make sure you had a mature understanding of how you.
Yeah.
Good.
I have a couple of questions, Alex.
Sure.
Go for it, Ivy.
Neal. Okay. First, can you tell us, are there particular conditions that are included in this experience? And is there a point at which, by the type of condition or by the type of patient need, that this no longer works and it has to be, and the patient has to be engaged with a human? And part two to that is, if you have, at what point does a human HCP enter this scenario? Because I'm familiar with situations, particularly with mental health issues, where a patient might keep asking for more questions and more help, or where the bot might push to solve problems that end up causing the patient to do something that's harmful. So if you can comment on those
Yes,
two.
so I think those are great questions. Think of Jamie as closer to being a concierge and companion, as opposed to, our job is never to be trying to be diagnostic, and we're not trying to push a solution, and that she can always be connected to humans at any time. So when we do, even with remote patient monitoring, we can move you to a live responder, or at a minimum, we can say, hey, does your doctor know about this? Can we text them and let them know? But if we want to be connected to a live responder, always. And if we get certain kind of responses or keyword responses, we're going to say, this is beyond our, Jamie's going to have the ability through our natural language approach to basically say, it sounds like you should be talking to someone. Can I connect you now? What we cannot do is connect somebody, like, for example, through to 911, but that's a limitation of 911, not us.
And about, is this intended to address mental health as well, or?
Yes, it can be anywhere along the line. And I think one of the things we're trying to do is say, rather than thinking of targets around a behavior or a disease or a risk, is get to know the person. And then really what we're trying to do is assess is, what is it we can help you with today? How can we support you? And who can we connect you with that will be substantial? And whether that's moving you to an EAP or a mental health app, or to Santa Health, who's coming up next to help you with something like that around anxiety, or connecting you back to another kind of care provider or other third-party provider. That's our job, is to help maintain the lower level and the asynchronous communication, so that we can drive more people to the other interventions that matter when it counts.
Thank you.
Great. So one of the pioneers in this space just showed up here, Gilles Friedman. Gilles, you have any questions for this newbie? You got to turn off your mute button. Speaking of newbies, we can unmute you if you want. So Gilles was the founder of ACOR, just one of the first things in the space. Go ahead, Gilles.
No, I've become so old that I can't think anymore. So I'm just there, like, to listen.
Yeah, and Gilles, you and I actually know each other from a past life. As you were building what you were doing, you knew the Cancer Survivors Network. I was the founder of that, which was building the first social platform in cancer caregiving.
Look at that. Isn't that
So
amazing?
yeah, that goes back 20 years, and we both had a little more hair then.
Yeah, well,
September 95, we started.
Yeah, and we started in 99.
I suppose that some of you here were not even born.
Okay, so give him another minute, because we just wasted a minute. Not that it was wasted, but you know what I mean. Alex is chatting. So next question.
I had a quick question. What's the competition again look like in this?
There are any number of messaging companies out there, whether it's Impulse or Orbit and others. There's really no one who has actually tried to build a true natural language tailoring relational conversational bot in the same way that's completely channel agnostic. So the things you're seeing, a little bit in HealthCrowd, a little bit in Impulse, a little bit in Orbit, and in fact, we're talking to any number of them about becoming middleware that would support their solutions.
Great.
I have one question. So technology is often considered as a barrier for older people. Is it, how are you going to deal with that?
Say, I missed the first half of the question.
So technology is often considered as a barrier for older people. How are you going to deal with that?
Good question. So one, we don't care what sort of technology is available, including print. So we can create tailored print messages for certain people if that's what they want. If they're comfortable using their phone, that's fine. If we can also supply with the remote patient monitoring people, something like a Dot or a Google Home, we can do that. We're completely agnostic across channel. And we find that actually if people are connected and feel in some way like this is providing value to them, it's not a huge barrier. But actually our industry started by actually creating tailored print messages. And for people who want it, actually getting real postage with messages pertinent to them is really powerful.
All right, that was very good. Thank you. 5 minutes.
Great job, Neal. And thanks everybody for coming. Another mentor, CEO that just showed up is Sai Thermaloo. Say hi, Sai.
Hi everyone.
Yeah,
Thanks.
he's our 6th startup we invested in. Member of our community for a long time, and got a lot of traction, and we invested. So tell everybody what Direct Shifts does, Sai.
Awesome. Yeah. So at Direct Shifts, we connect clinicians to employers for short-term or full-time work. So, we're basically using technology to decrease the costs of recruiting people. We work with a lot of health systems. We work with telemedicine companies, remote patient monitoring. We started off with physicians, but expanded from physicians to advanced practitioners, behavioral therapists, medical assistants for COVID testing, virtual testing, things like that. We've expanded all there. So yeah, that's, if anybody's looking to hiring any clinician, please reach out.
And now, are you hiring now, Sai? Are you looking for people? I know you're growing.
Yes. We're definitely hiring for, operations and salespeople. So if you guys have, anybody interested or know anybody good, I would recommend, please send them my way or Alex's way. Yeah.
No, great. It's very, very proud and happy to have you here. And thanks for your input on the forums and what have you. So for those of you who came in late, we dropped another link in the chat box for the judging form. And you just have to skip through to number 6, which is up next after the break. So right now we have a break. So if anybody wants to go, grab a smoke, inject some heroin or whatever it is you guys like to do in your spare time. I just said that to see if anybody's paying attention.
Why are you even promoting that?
It's illegal in Oregon or Washington or something.
Heroin?
Not heroin.
Heroin is
psilocybin is what's up in our
I'm pretty sure heroin became
legal for euthanasia. Probably.
Decriminalized.
Decriminalized, not necessarily legal. Anyway, I also was sporting the Direct Shifts hat, which I stole from Pat. So if you want it back now, you can have it. Anyway, so this is. Pardon me. Yeah, we're in the break.
How long is it? 5 minutes?
It is now, according to my watch, 2:11 p.m. So come back at 2:21 p.m.
Or 5.
Or or whatever time it actually is. I haven't synced my watch up yet. So now if so we were going to say, hey, what are our visions for 2021? And talk about I'll talk about mine. I definitely see healthcare innovation growing even faster than ever, especially with our new wonderful president. And so I'm looking forward to another Obama-like growth period for healthcare innovation, driven by the need for medical innovation. And this is really not that short. I'm sorry. But anyway, so I said the obvious thing. Anybody else want to do something less obvious? Go ahead, Gerald.
I'll jump in there. One of the side effects of COVID is that people are suddenly aware of the value of health tech. So there's much more investment going towards health tech. And in particular, the long period of ignoring women is over. And there's now a new field called femtech. So there's money flowing into femtech. So we've gotten a lot of interest lately because we have a device that's going to change the lives of 500 million women.
Yeah, I think we actually have a couple of femtech leaders here. I know Atisha's involved in that. I think Anna's involved in some of those organizations. And Rohini too, I think. Olivia, exactly. So you've got a very strong femtech team here. I don't know why, it's just, but we tend to have a lot of amazing femtech entrepreneurs and innovators, and actually we invest a lot in female-led companies. I
have a question, Gerald. Can I ask a question of Floel?
Sure.
No, you're whatever.
It wouldn't be fair, John.
Well, why don't you
What
address
else?
men's issues?
Beg pardon?
Do men also have the urinary incontinence issue? Or
Oh,
no?
John.
I don't know.
Yeah, we get asked that all the time. The reason is that the female urethra doesn't have any holes in it. The male urethra has a lot of openings for the ejaculatory ducts. So you don't want to block those.
I see.
And it's much more common in women. It's especially post-childbirth and lots of other reasons that it happens in women a whole lot more.
And it mostly occurs after prostate surgery.
While I'm not muted, I'll just say that for 2021, since our last innovation round, I made a decision to take a 3 to 6 month sabbatical from my current work. And I'm going to be focusing on my creative stuff, my screenplays and musicals and novels and stuff. And then also doing a little bit more of this innovation consulting. So I'm really excited about what this next round brings.
I think that's great.
Anybody else?
I can continue. I hope that since COVID, people have realized that telehealth can have a great impact on people's health and improving the access. And so many regulations have started changing with just COVID periods, and hopefully they will just keep it like this and make it permanent.
That's great, Livia. Any other thoughts on 2021? Flying cars, self-driving cars at least, self-driving flying cars, or just heroin? Okay, heroin it is.
Let's see. Well, heroin apparently has good weight loss characteristics. You never see a fat heroin addict.
No, you don't, or a rich one.
So, there's that, Alex.
What do you got, Pat? What's your vision?
Exactly.
My vision or what I want to happen?
What do you want to happen?
Well, I just can't wait to finish my MBA this year.
Okay, that's cool. Okay, so are we devoid of vision, or should we just go down with the show?
It's about time.
What did we say? This is the time? No, we said we've got 5 more minutes. We said people come back at 21, on my watch.
At 5:50, so like a minute.
Not enough time for a song.
Don't worry, we still have the break at the end where we calculate the results.
Yep. So, is Jill still here? Or do you have to go?
I'm here.
Oh,
I'm
cool.
here.
So what's the weather like down in Colombia?
Well, I don't live in Colombia. I live in Miami.
Oh, you're in Miami? Oh,
Yeah.
you're married to a Colombian. I thought you were in South America. Those beautiful.
In normal years, we spend a lot of time in Colombia, but this year I can't. So
I see. So if we went to Bogota, we wouldn't have seen you anyway. That was part of the world tour this year. Yeah. So the Nima recommend. Nima actually goes to Miami a lot too. So, if you were at the 2012 thing we did at Ruby Sky, he was one of my collaborators there. He's the one that I walked through Health 2.0 with that party rock anthem. He looks just like the guy from LMFAO, the big curly hair. Anyway, so physician. So, okay. So I guess we should get on with the show. One of our favorite companies that came through, I think we pulled them from 3rd place, and we actually have had some good sessions with them into the finals. And I hope that Sajung will do a great job today. We gave him some pointers on his deck last time. Hopefully you listened to them. So Heather is back and ready. Are you here, Heather?
I'm ready.
Oh, there you are. Okay, so take it away.
Good evening. I'm Sajung, CEO and co-founder of Predictiv. Predictiv is DNA-based digital twin that is a digital copy of yourself to predict and prevent diseases and adverse drug reactions. So I received PhD in biomedical sciences, then went to NIH to do the CRISPR-Cas9 research for 5 years. For the recent 4 years, I've been teaching genomics at Johns Hopkins University. And there is my co-founder. He's actually an identical twin brother, not the digital one, real brother. He's also faculty at NIH and Hopkins as well, teaching next generation sequencing. The beginning of the company goes back to 7 years ago when our father got diagnosed with rare cancer. And we analyzed his DNA a few years later, then found out this cancer could have been predicted and prevented. So we wanted to open this opportunity to other people. So that's the beginning of the company. Every year, 58 million people die from the serious diseases, but 10% of these people, which is 5 to 6 million people, they should have not died from it or should have not get the permanent damage from it. So that's where we are working on. So as you see in the Minority Report movie from Tom Cruise, as he knows the future crime is gonna happen within a few minutes or hours, he can prevent it. So if we predict diseases, we can either prevent them or we can at least reduce the impact of them. The way we do is analyzing 20,000 genes humans have. So we assess the level of risk on 16,000 diseases, and we simulate your body reaction to 300 drugs. This is easy to use, real-time searchable database. Unlike the 23andMe and Invitae, they make the disease panel and then gene variant panel, just analyze it and give the customers PDF report. We are completely different. We analyze 100% of the known diseases and 100% of the gene variants. And then we feed it into the genomics pipeline, which is our first provisional pattern is about. And then we feed it into our AI engine. That's another provisional pattern we have. Our sales pipeline is a B2, B2C approach. We sell it to the healthcare professionals, and patients cut their fingernails or give the blood. Then we extract the DNA from it, which is 30-minute lab procedure. And then we send it to the sequencing lab, and we make the digital twin, which is $490. Then we provide it to the healthcare professionals. And for our end, the in-house cost is like less than $5 and almost fully automatized. Our team also has Alex, who is a serial entrepreneur with 2 successful exits, and he used to be a partner at KPMG. He knows how to grow the company because his first company as a CEO, he grew from 0 users to 160,000 users within 2 years. And then second company, he used to be a head of the accelerator. And secondly, Alexander Brasford, he's a full-stack software engineer. And Mailani is our physician, and she got trained in bioinformatics from Johns Hopkins. And Jose Murray, a lot of you know, he's a medical visionary, and he used to be a chief health officer in IBM Watson. And May is helping on our commercialization because she used to be a commercialization director at Pfizer. And so far, we have a 2 provisional pattern in genomics pipeline and AI engine. We launched our MVP last month, and then we are testing with physicians and healthcare professionals and getting feedback. And we are talking to 20 different companies. They have 70,000 healthcare professionals in their sales pipeline, in our sales pipeline. And then we are competing in the Unicorn Cup, and we got the 3rd place in the healthcare sector. And the Unicorn Cup finals, we got the 4th. And we also casted at the Mythos Raper season 4, so you will see in the TV. And the comparable asset is like Hanbury Genetics and the Ancestry.
30 seconds.
Yeah, and the Invitae, 23andMe, CBS, Google Health, they are potential acquirers. And we are asking $250K, 5 million cap safe. We're gonna improve UI UX and have a first major contract, and we're gonna launch our product next January or next month. Finally, our 2021 vision is no one dies or get permanent damages from predictable and preventable diseases anymore. Thank you.
Very good. That's it. Thank you. That's great.
Nice finish, Sajung. That was great. And I'd like to note that Alex, I can't pronounce your last name, Rochard, is here as well. So he can answer questions as well. Great job. Who's got questions for our 2021 Visioneers?
I think I was just curious about this, you know, from the last time you did this. Can you talk a little bit more about like the clinical application and use case for like, you know, who is this going in the doctor's office?
Yeah,
you know, is the patient going to see it?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that question. Let me show you the 3 use cases. So first, when people are healthy before developing any signs and symptoms, we can do 2 things. Currently, they charge cystic fibrosis test, Zellweger syndrome, like this much, and ataxia this much. Well, we don't need to do it like this. What we can do is, so this is our demo site. The physician log in, and it's digital twins of her patient. So it's an inborn disease risk assessment available. And here, when you click the DNA variant, you can just type CFTR within a couple of seconds. $2,000 test is done.
Sajung, this is the physician's view, right?
Yes, this is physician's view. Zellweger syndrome, another $2,000 test is done. And ataxia, another couple of $1,000 test is done. So the first use case point is that inborn disease, future disease risk assessment in all body system to prevent the future diseases done. And then
So Sajung, I think what she really wants to get at is, as the doctor, she's a doctor, how am I going to use this? So show her that really great interface with the, where it's actually what she would see, so she could drill down and have all the answers at her fingertips for CF or whatever.
Yes, correct. Yes. Basically, that's it. And then when you see the patient with the current signs and symptoms, you can just go to the disease panel, and then you can just type the, for example, joint hypomobility. Of course, everybody knows Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. But what we can do is that this patient's genetic background, because her collagen gene mutation, you can tell she is prone to those diseases. And not just like this cough, fever, all these things, you can do it. And then lastly, when people take medications, instead of you give the drug and people suffer, what we have done in our backend is tamoxifen, for example, we put into our database. If you have this kind of mutation, you're going to expect to have adverse drug reactions. So when you go to the drugs panel, if you want to type lower the cholesterol, this person has a genetic mutation in this gene conflicting. So you can check those things. And then for drugs, there are 3 things. Like 1 is the drug efficacy, 2 is the drug dosage, 3 is the drug toxicity. Thank you.
That's really great for smart patients, wouldn't you say so, Gilles?
Yes, but really smart patients have a question. So if it turns out that this patient, for example, has a c-KIT mutation,
yeah,
it all depends on how smart. That's the problem with artificial intelligence. It all depends on how smart is the what you put in, right? So it turns out that c-KIT mutations can produce 40, 50 different kinds of cancer. And I wonder how smart is your system to be able to tell that person which type of, which one of those 50 cancers they are most at risk?
Yeah, that's a great question. What we are simply doing is that we are providing the genetic background information that c-KIT is associated. I mean, this patient has a c-KIT mutation. And then there is also publications associated with those c-KIT mutations. It's up to, and then we have also predictive score. We validate through the FDA challenge that that we have a very high, highly ranked for the FDA challenge. So we are providing the relevant genetic information. We are not telling them you're gonna have this disease. We are simply saying that we have a high risk for certain diseases. For example, this was the FDA challenge. We can predict how many hospital days in case of COVID, how many hospital days you expect to have based on the machine learning. So
Okay, Sajung, remember you want to keep your answers brief. Tisha, I hear you have a question.
Last question.
So I have a question. So does it, I mean, I understand that it would detect different disorders or whatnot, but for example, I mean, if it's detecting breast cancer, which, you know, other companies and other tests already do, it doesn't really tell you exactly like how old you are when you're going to get breast cancer or whatnot. So do you think this would be a problem in the long run, or where people are taking precautions or taking action when they shouldn't be? Because sometimes, I mean, you might have the gene, but it might not affect you till, you know, decades later.
Last question.
Yeah, excellent point. Yes, genetic expression is not always evident, as you see, as you know, and then there are a lot of in addition to the germline mutations, there are like transcription factors and other issues. So what we are simply telling the patient, I mean the physician, is that this patient does have the mutations in these genes, and then you'll be aware when you look at the prognosis and when you do the diagnosis, when you do the treatment options. So we are simply providing this person's own genetic information based on the current signs and symptoms, with the current symptoms or without the symptoms.
Okay, so I think we're way out of time, right, Heather? Okay.
That was it.
Great job, Sajung. If you have more questions, I know that a lot of those kind of went on for a bit. Please put them in the chat box. Also in the chat box is a link to my friend Gilles Friedman's profile, and he's the CEO of a company called Smart Patients, hence all those comments about Smart Patients, and as well as you know, nonprofit CEO as well. So Gilles, you want to say hi and introduce yourself now that we actually have a moment to do that?
You're catching me. I didn't expect. So I created a nonprofit called ACOR, which stands for Association of Cancer Online Resources. And the only reason it's called ACOR is because when we created this, there were no search engines. The only thing that you could use to find resources on the internet were the Yahoo directories. So we created a name to make sure that we would appear before ACS, before the American Cancer Society. That's the real reason of the name ACOR.
That's a funny reason. Yeah, it's like being called AA plumbers, right? And back in the old Yellow Pages days.
What we didn't plan when we created those online communities, which were using only listserv because that was the top of the line technology at the time, was that we would be fundamentally important in the trials for the first targeted therapy for cancer, which is now known as Gleevec, but was then known as signal transduction inhibitor 571. And more than 80% of the trial participants for a new disease called GIST, which was basically unknown at the time, came through one of our online communities because they were all misdiagnosed. And coming to our community, they were told that very probably they were misdiagnosed, and they had to go back to their doctors who didn't know anything about this c-KIT mutation, and they had to be tested to see if they were c-KIT positive.
Okay.
The result of which...
Gilles, you know I could listen to you all day, and I do have beer.
Well, let me do my thing, because very few people can do a historical background so that they can see the effect of technology, and more essentially here to present the fact that sociology has to be integrated in anything technology we do. Human beings are fundamental in the success of which one of you are going to do. You cannot replace human beings with data, with pure data.
Well, they can do pretty good facsimiles in a lot of cases. So wonderful. And I really just put this hat on not to support femtech or women in general, but to distinguish myself from Gilles, which I don't know about in your screen, but we're right next to each other and we look like we're brothers, as opposed to my actual brother who's right below me. It looks very different. So anyway, That was great. And I think we can move on to Santa Health, which we actually have a lot of experience with. Richard Hanbury is here. And if everybody is ready to go on to the next section, I should say 7 at the top of your page. And Heather, I think you actually have the product there with you, or John, do you have it now?
John has it.
Okay, John, can you wear that through this entire session and then tell us how good it was afterward? No, I'm kidding.
Then I won't be able to pay attention to the session.
Yeah, well, that was the joke. But no, it's always good to have. Yeah. Okay, I'll shut up. Go ahead, Richard.
Fantastic. Thanks. Just for those of you who haven't heard the story before, my journey into everything pain and health related came with a road traffic accident in Yemen in 1992. I went off a bridge and 60 foot down, spinal cord injury, plus traumatic brain injury, plus a ripped aorta. Back at the UK, standard of care and a neuropathic pain problem that was so severe, I was given a 5-year life expectancy. Part of the standard of care even back then was have some meditation. Meditation when you're already in a very large amount of pain just makes you more present moment aware of how much pain you're in. I watched a movie. That movie put me in and out of a flow state that then made me realize, okay, if we could change states of consciousness, we can tackle certain kinds of pain. Obviously, because we're going after a fundamental thing that is affected by states of consciousness, we're talking about all areas of mental health, which is one of the reasons why we can go after chronic pain so well, because it's compounding comorbidities of pain, anxiety, sleep, and depression. And the more of those someone has, the better the efficacy we have. So within the very large pain market, we're going after fibromyalgia first because it's very similar to the type of pain I had. 20 billion market, $10,000 per person per year in direct medical costs, roughly 4 times that in lost productivity as well. Current standard of care, cocktail of 5 to 8 drugs, doesn't work very well. So this is the current device. You've seen the version as well. The user puts it on, presses play, gets a pulse of light at each eye and a tone of sound in each ear. That goes through a complex set of algorithms that then allows us to use the audio and visual cortex as the electronic keypad to input stuff into the brain. That allows us to solve this problem called hemispheric imbalance, which is part of the underlying cause of maintaining chronic pain and chronic anxiety. First clinical trial in fibromyalgia, we've completed 4 pilots so far. The first one in fibromyalgia, 45% reduction in improvement in quality of life, which means we're 5x better than the best-selling drug, which is Lyrica. Lyrica has such bad side effects that 80% of people stop taking it. We have patient compliance and duration of effect now just over a year since this study was started, and a total of 30% drop in all pain meds across that time. We're going out as a subscription model. We're about to do a 1,000-person test to prove that people will pay that. That is in parallel to an FDA trial that is now the 67th person was recruited, so was onboarded this morning. So we're just over halfway through our pivotal FDA trial. COGS will be 75 at scale. That means that if we can get 2% of that fibromyalgia market, we are at 100 million ARR. This is the pipeline. We have completed studies on opioid addiction, which is going forward to a NIDA grant in April. And we have a neuropathic pain study going on at Mount Sinai. That will be our second FDA indication. But the first FDA indication will be this Duke study. That will read out in the end of January or maybe the beginning of February. And therefore, we will expect our de novo round about May. We are going through breakthrough designation as well. The Mighty study allows us then in parallel to prove out that people will pay out of pocket whilst we're waiting for the reimbursement. We're expecting private payer reimbursement around about November next year. But if we get breakthrough status, we'll have a temporary CMS coding about the same time we get our de novo. Previously, we raised 11 million in previous rounds. The current raise is a $5 million equity round, which is on a rolling close. We've closed on 3. We've got another 1 million that is closing, so we've got 1 million left available. That just gets us through 2 FDA approvals plus the study to prove out that people will pay out of pocket and the engineering to lower the cost of goods. So I'm going to leave more time for questions, but thank you very much, and help me end chronic pain.
That's a pretty smart
Great.
move.
Thank you.
Actually, my first question is for my brother. John, how did it work?
Well, I've only used it twice. Both times it worked. I think Heather said it best when she said it's sort of like meditation for lazy people. It does put you very quickly into some sort of peaceful state. I have both chronic and acute pain. I haven't used it enough to tell you whether it's going to relieve either.
Okay, so that's good feedback.
Good.
Okay, so other questions for Richard?
What's your competition like in terms of the product? How protected is it? And then can it be applied to other conditions other than chronic pain?
Yeah, so lots of questions there. Okay, so in terms of competition, nothing direct. The external stimulators, the electronics, the TDCS, basically those are some of the competition, but nothing's really working well enough to have a big impact. VR is a big up and coming area. Within VR, you've got the distraction therapy people, one of which is very smart, but in a niche within physiotherapy. Applied VR is something that we get talked about a lot in conjunction with. Applied VR is delivering cognitive behavioral therapy over VR, and ideally they should actually be a second line treatment after with a first line treatment, because cognitive behavioral therapy is really difficult to get people to do when they're already in a lot of pain or anxiety. In terms of IP, our first patent was issued in June last year, and that covers any auditory visual stimulation that is rhythmic in nature for any of the neurological areas we're going after. The second patent was issued in mid-October, and that covers the creation of a closed loop feedback system based on a biological response to how the device is working. I'm really sorry, I've forgotten your last question.
I was just curious if you were looking into any other conditions other than chronic pain.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yeah. So we've got a depression study that is, we are looking to start now in Florida. We have anxiety and PTSD studies in the pipeline. We're expecting a DoD military operational medicine grant early next year, and that will happen at Yale. So we're looking at all the areas of major areas of mental health. Fibromyalgia just happens to be first because it combines pain and anxiety and depression and sleep issues. We do have 6 studies going on with NATO already on fatigue mitigation. Basically, I figured it would be easier to get the military to pay for the medical validation of sleep issues because we have big impacts within insomnia as well.
Could you talk about,
Go ahead, please.
Could you talk about the parallel of using your device versus taking medication, and what's the frequency? I'll call it dosing. What's the frequency of use? Is this a lifelong treatment, or so long as you have the condition, et cetera?
I'll deal with that. I'll ask a second question first. With me, my type of pain was all central mediation with no peripheral pain. So with me, the device was able to completely wipe it out for good in about 3 months. And since then, I've been a health and wellness user. I use it every time I fly long haul. I also used it post-op surgery earlier this year. Something like chronic regional pain syndrome, it's mostly peripheral pain. So we're a tool in the toolkit to help manage it. And if you stop using the device, over about a month, the pain comes back. Fibromyalgia is about in the middle of those two. At the beginning of the study, we told people use twice a day without fail, and then use it PRN whenever any of your major symptoms are too much for you to enjoy what you're doing. The average use is 5 times a day at the start for 15 minutes each time. By the end of the study, it was 2.5 times. And then the 3, 6, and 9 month follow-up, the average is once a day. So once a day for 15 minutes tends to be the maintenance dose within fibromyalgia. And then in terms of opportunity cost, when you pop a pill, your opportunity cost is pretty much side effects. No one cares about the time it takes to pop a pill. But with Lyrica, those side effects are pretty strong. And that's your opportunity cost. When you're doing the maintenance dose, most people are using the device as they're going to sleep at night. So your opportunity cost of using it as you're going to sleep at night, if it's helping you speed up your speed to go to sleep, which is nearly with everybody, you haven't really got any opportunity cost in terms of time spent to do it. But really, those are the big, it's side effects versus time spent using the device.
Thank you.
Heather, how much time does he have left? Are we not timing?
40 seconds.
Okay, question about all the indications, and are you going to do this for a non-prescription version of it at some point, or is that part of the pathway? And what I would assume that once you have a couple of indications, you can start seeing the use for off-label uses.
Yeah, so we're going through the reimbursement process through the FDA, through the Duke study. But in the meantime, we're also going to test out the people selling it direct to consumer, OTC on fibromyalgia. Sorry, what was the second part of the question?
Just off-label uses.
Yeah. So we are on market as a wellness device already. I think as soon as we've got the first 2 pain indications, which will be fibromyalgia and neuropathic pain, we will start being used for any other type of pain.
Okay, great. So thank you very much. Great job, Richard. And if you can take care of my brother's pain issues, then you'll definitely get our investment. So great job, though. Very, very exciting, the kind of stuff you guys are doing. So those of you who have finished your 7th contestant and see an 8 there on the next page. So if you're right here on O2 Regentech, you're just going to go through and click next on the bottom and go on to number 9. Okay, so you're going to skip that one because those guys didn't show up today. So, which happens. So I don't know if you know how this worked. We ran 4 semifinal heats. We took the top teams from those heats that hadn't, been eliminated in our due diligence process, and then we let in 3 wild cards, meaning teams that had applied in the last couple of weeks or for some reason or another hadn't made it on stage before. So one of those, and incidentally, last time we did this, the wild card won the whole thing. One of the wild cards. So they have a good chance, and we have a lot of teams to pull from. So David Pastorino is up next. For those who are ready, is anybody not ready yet? Okay, I think it looks like everybody's ready. So David, if you want to share your screen, is David here? That's David here. Uh-oh. Well, we might have a shorter show than usual today. And that is the problem with wild cards. All these other teams you've seen, they're so amazing. It's going to be really hard to pick from among them. The wild cards haven't really been vetted and tested yet. So
does not think he showed up.
Looks like David did not show up. Well, okay, so now you know how to forward on to the next one. And we will have only 8 teams today. That increases everybody's odds of winning by what percentage? Significantly.
Yeah.
Okay, but I do know that Kwamane is here because we spoke to him earlier today. And I was excited with his whole story. And he was here before. So Kwamane, if you want to share your screen. And also, folks, you should now see 10 dispatch care Kwamane Liddell on your side. Hey, there you are.
Hi there.
How you doing? Nice to actually see your face today. And now he just submitted his application like what 11:30 last night, and I just liked what he had to say. I liked his story. I don't know if that's going to be part of your presentation, but I'll tell it. He basically dropped out and he worked in cleaning services, and then he got inspired in it. And it's kind of like it's what I call the geek to freak to hero path. It's like you come into healthcare and you're working in healthcare and you see something wrong, and then you say, I'm going to go fix something, and everybody thinks you're crazy for quitting your day job. And then eventually when you start helping people in huge ways, like Gilles and so many other people who are here today have done, you're a hero to them. And so he's on that path, and we love helping people along that path, no matter what point in it they're on. So I'll shut up now. And Heather, if you're ready, everybody should have number 10 dispatch care on their screen. Take it away, Kwamane.
Thank you for the great introduction. My name is Kwamane Liddell. I'm the founder of Dispatch Care. And I'll jump right into it. Every year, there are more than 4 million unnecessary hospital readmissions every year. That means that a patient is discharged from the hospital and they're back into the hospital in less than 30 days. This problem is so robust that almost 50% of all hospitals are actually fined because they have too many readmissions by CMS. And the penalty combined with the unreimbursable services that they provide is about $43 billion per year. One of the problems to this is that patients, when they are being discharged from a hospital or leaving their doctor's office, they have to understand their discharge plan, including their nutrition. Then they have to go to a store or shop online. And when they get there, they have to then remember and understand what their doctor told them. Hospitals across the country have began to publish studies that show when you follow up with patients, provide education, coupons, phone calls, that patients would then have better outcomes. And it works. Advocate Health System, Catholic Health Initiatives, Abbott, and now 3 more health systems have tested this process. They did this as a manual process, and they would call about 200 patients per month. In a 6-month time frame, Advocate Healthcare saved $4.7 million. They reduced length of stay for more than 30% for malnourished patients and reduced their time that patients spent in the hospital. Until now, the additional resources in the manual process has acted as a barrier to health systems across the country. DispatchCare is the first platform that actually reads the electronic medical record and combines it with the grocery stores or delivery services that would actually deliver products. So what it does is it scans the physician's charting, and it looks at their medical equipment discharge orders and or their diet orders, and it sends patients an easy to read message where they can just go ahead and purchase groceries. In most cases, patients could actually purchase their groceries while they're still in the doctor's office or in the hospital. And it's a simple 3-step process. So even patients who are elderly or have difficulty seeing or reading could use it. For hospitals, it reduces the barrier to entry, so that not only can they receive the benefits from malnourished patients, but it's automated so that they can also actually offer these nutritional services to all patients. We have a team that's exceptional. We have the right mix of clinical, technical, and business experience, specifically in healthcare. And we have a robust market. The market for these services is about $11 billion, and we'll get to talk a little more about that. Our business model is simple. Hospitals licensing fee is about $1,000 on average. $100,000 per year on average, with doctors' offices at $20,000 and transaction fees at $60, with an average of $5 per month for each patient. Here's an overview of patients of hospitals who have these penalties. The South is the place where it's the largest concentration. Every yellow dot represents a hospital who's penalized by CMS. Here's our growth projections. You see here what that represents. The blue is hospitals. They're attached medical clinics. So that's a calculation of three doctors' offices or 5 doctors' offices for every hospital, and 40 million patients, which is about 10% of hospital discharges in America. And the readmission rate, just for a brief overview, is actually more than all hospital discharges in the state of California. We've already began 2 pilots. We're having great feedback. We pitched to do 1 pilot, and they asked us to do 2. And there are actually other organizations in the community that we're beginning to discuss the topic with. And there are also 2 more hospitals in the Bay Area that are close by that we will work very well with. But with our smaller team, we're focusing on 1 hospital, 2 hospitals. Thank you.
So you're looking to raise $150,000 for growth revenue. I'm a little confused on your revenue models. You're going to charge a hospital $100,000 to access this?
Yes, primarily because it has to. We we'd have to do the work to, well, it has to read their electronic medical record in order for it to function. And it requires additional updates to their security programs and things like that.
And have you talked to any of your hospitals about that, and have they been okay with it?
Yes, it's actually been, for a product like this, this is, and the $100,000 is the average. So you'd see a big hospital with 2,000 beds would be closer to 100,000, but where you see a 50 or 60 bed hospital would be much lower.
Okay, we're going to talk about your business models, and as long as you're open to learning how these guys would actually adopt it a lot faster, you know, that it's only just say yes, Alex, I will listen to you guys. And then
yes, I will listen to you guys.
Okay, we got things to do.
Yeah,
I would agree with his business model only from the standpoint of Tiger Text does something similar, and it's about the same. I do have a question though. Are you integrated with Epic?
Yes, Epic and Cerner. We actually built the model, so it's web-based and it reads the data extracts that Epic already generates.
Okay. I know it's pretty hard to integrate with Epic, so.
Easier than it used to be.
So you were mentioning your hospital model. Sorry.
Okay.
I was just curious about your individual practitioner, like your costing for that, right? Because I think you were sort of illustrating that you were saving hospitals money by avoiding fees, but what is the incentive for an individual doctor's office to pay you $20,000?
Particularly surgeons, their readmission rate reduction in these cases was closer to 50%. And they also, their hospital readmissions post-surgery greatly impacts their reimbursement, particularly for Medicare patients.
But Kwame, are you also taking a cut of the DME and everything else that's ordered through your system?
No, there's a transaction fee that will average about $1. So we wouldn't charge for those. Yeah. The real goal is to remove the barrier to patients as much as possible.
Yeah, I just think your downstream sellers are going to wind up paying you more. Other questions?
Yeah, I have a quick question on the channels. Once again, are you also talking to health plans or insurance companies, or are you just looking at provider organizations at this point?
Currently, provider organizations. The real barrier is getting the accurate insurance information quickly. But with FHIR mandate in July, that access will actually be public and easy to integrate. And at that point, we would transition to more health plans.
That's where the money is. So,
yes.
Especially if you have a large licensing fee as a requirement, that's why I thought.
Yeah, no, I can see a lot of models here. Other questions?
Not a question, but a comment. Did you think about white labeling?
I'm not familiar with that.
Basically,
right,
letting
we'll
them
talk on the side.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. No, and look, I mean, Kwamane is a raw recruit to this. I love his energy. I love his progress so far. But you know, a lot of his jargon and style. But I think you did great. So we're happy to have you here today. Other questions?
I have one.
Maybe one. Are there specific conditions where it would be more beneficial?
I'm sorry?
Are there particular medical conditions where this would be more helpful?
Oh, yes. Malnourishment. Any patient's malnourished, so it's about 30% of all hospital admissions, particularly GI conditions, especially when it's compounded with GI and post-op as well as diabetes.
Melissa, you had a question?
I was asking Kwamane, what kind of proof are your hospital partners asking for, or hospitals that you approach to sell this to, that this actually reduces readmissions? Are they just taking your word for it?
That's a great question.
Sure, the studies. Advocate Healthcare does it, and they're like the landmark case, and we just took their process. The Department for Health and Human Services actually cited it as well, and we just automated the manual process. And currently you would need to hire someone to call all of your patients and go through this process with them. Additionally, Johns Hopkins, the Cleveland Clinic, and Catholic Health Initiatives and Kentucky One have also implemented this process, but they're all manual.
That was really good. That was 5 minutes. Thank you.
Great job, and great job to all the entrepreneurs and the judges and audience. Thank you for everything. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna ask all the judges to finish. Oh, thank me too. I can't thank myself like that. I can't thank myself enough. But I would thank the judges to go through the last question, the last of the questions, and answer them so that I can get my data. And then Pat, are you going to lead a discussion this time, or are we just going to let people free form and do their heroin? And free form, really? He's going to go with free form. I didn't expect that answer. John, would you like to lead a discussion? You're the most conversational, gifted. Oh, Ross, that's right. We've got Ross again. Ross, you have your guitar?
What am I doing?
What am I doing? You're in your studio again. I assume
Yeah.
you have a musical instrument.
I always.
Can you sing? Can you sing the pharmaceutical attack song that we did in front of Regina's thing?
Oh yeah. I have not played that in a while, so it's not. It's not. If you give me, go on to somebody else. I will run through it real quick and see if I can play it.
First of all, did you do your judging form? You already submitted?
I need to click like 3 more buttons.
Okay, well, put the guitar down and click the buttons, because I'm waiting for that, and we're just killing time until everybody clicks those 3 buttons.
Okay.
And I know everybody wants to go start shoveling snow, or get a hot toddy, or you can be like us and you can get corona virus. But this is just sort of like you're waiting for us to announce the winner. And I have a good system for it, but it requires everybody to click all our buttons. Okay, so I see I've got a ton of buttons clicked. I see George, I see Kat, I see Max, I see Atisha, Gerald. Is anybody missing here? And let's see if my data, Pat's data thing works. Well, the real question is, did you put a thing on the end of yours?
Up for what?
To tell us that they're the right ones in the right places.
No.
Yes, we discovered a little problem in the design of our scoring system. It sometimes confused people for other people. This looks like it worked though, because the 10th one comes in the right place everywhere. That's interesting.
Well, the only problem was 4 and 7 switched, and 7 didn't show up today.
4 and 7. Okay, so let's make sure that 4 is the right one. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, but I don't know if it would be consistently problematic. Okay, so you guys can talk amongst yourselves. So if anybody has any question for anybody, that they don't mind having a question in public, so try to, keep the personal things out of it. That's what texting is for. So anyway, oh, I see Ross did his thing. Okay, so Ross, you're now allowed to play us a song. We would love if you would play us a song.
You got to give me a minute, because I got to see if I can play this thing. Hold on.
Okay. So Ross is the founder of the American Medical Musician Society or something like that. He's a physician who is very musical and has some really great stuff going on. We were, a lot of us are patient activists as well, and we've all been helped along our paths by our friend Regina Holiday, who painted this gigantic mural in downtown, not downtown, on the way to downtown Washington, D.C. a few years ago. And so we all got together there last year, pre-COVID, not too much earlier than this. And he sang us a song in front of, well, it's across the street from a CVS, and it was like this anti-pharmaceutical song.
I have not played that song in a while, and I can't get it ready, but I'll do it next time. Top of the 2020 or 2021.
I can actually probably play it from my phone if you want, because I keep it near and dear to my heart all the time.
I will put a link to a good recording of it from you on YouTube in the talk in the chat.
My recording wasn't that good?
I've got a good one. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I think I have. Has everybody submitted, or am I waiting on anybody?
It looks like everybody.
Looks like everybody. Okay. So did the data come out right?
Yeah.
So you already know. No, what were all these div by zeros?
Well, this is because those companies that were missing that didn't present.
Okay, good.
You thought you had me for a second.
Okay, well, thanks to Pat doing such a fantastic job of setting up the data. This is actually really easy today. And we're actually going to invest in the top team, which I kind of foreshadowed that earlier this afternoon when I posted it online. So you know who you are already. But
How do you know who the top team is? You know, we haven't voted.
Well, I just was recording. So one of the, I'll
Did we
tell you.
actually do this earlier in the day, and this is just a repeat? I didn't realize it.
No. I went on to a project that was on MedStarter, and because somebody had invested in them offline, I wanted that to reflect there. So I posted the same amount, which happened to be the same amount that the acceleration program is. So I don't know if you were here before, but Pat came up with the idea to give away just an acceleration package as a definite 100% sure thing. Yeah, it's a great idea, right?
The finals.
We're gonna give him a bonus for that. We're gonna do it anyway. But so it's a good thing. Okay, so are you gonna play for us, Ross, or is that you're gonna play us out after I announce the winners, since we have the winners so clear?
After, and I'll do something else. I'll do a Christmas song for you if you want.
Oh, that'd be awesome. We do have the Christmas tree. We'll do Christmas carols. Can we all sing along? Is it one of those things?
No.
Okay. That's probably a good thing.
How long till the results are tallied?
Pardon me?
How long till the results are tallied?
They're here on the screen right now.
Are they
So,
tallied?
yeah, it's automatic, John. But we do run some checks on it. So we should probably do that. Did you run the checks?
Yeah,
That's
I went through like Neal from
okay, good.
beat it already. Yeah,
exactly. Good. Anybody we have to disqualify?
No.
Okay.
And once
Although
you
there
get
are
this
more
time,
subtle ways to do it. You can probably,
you can
anyway.
give someone a little bit low score.
If somebody's too smart. And we actually design a lot of rabbit holes and things like that to catch people who cheat, but not so many in this one. Anyway, okay. So we're going to go with fourth place crowd favorite types. I guess we could do that. Honorable mentions. Oh my God, I'm very surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised that okay, honorable mentions are Elbe Valley Health. Those are the nanobots. Rob Reynolds, great job. We do still want to talk to you because you won that other one and we love what you're doing.
Friday.
And we have a meeting with you Friday already. So it's not just the winner circle, they're all winners in my view. The other honorable mention is the Gabby Baby Band, Gabby Smartcare. I think John probably jacked that up just with his own ratings. You're not allowed to go over 10, John. John, John, I think you owe us a baby view. Where's the baby?
He's asleep. I'm not waking her up. That's my number one rule. I don't wake up a sleeping
Can't
baby.
you bring your camera to it?
This is not on my camera. This is on my computer.
Okay. All right. So so the first win place show, for everybody who learned their statistics at a racetrack, show is who didn't is third place. Is the glaucoma solution by Max Ostermeier, implant data. So great job, Max.
Thank you.
I don't even know if he's still here. Well, it's like he's in Europe or something, isn't he?
Yeah, it's in Germany.
Yeah, they have to sleep at some point. So very excited about that. And as a diabetic, who doesn't want to go blind again, that would be great. Second place, we already have the product, and obviously we're already in due diligence, and we're testing it out ourselves. Very excited about it. Is Santa Health. So great job, Richard. And not just in surviving 4 times longer than your expected lifespan after that accident, but in surviving through 2 rounds of our bullshit. So it's fantastic. And I am not going to try this product, but I know several doctors who want to use this already for their patients. And so obviously Floel came in first. So great job, Gerald. I'm glad you finally responded to our calls, emails, texts, everything. And here's the thing, that if MedStarter calls you, that you should probably answer the phone, because we're going to give you our $25,000 acceleration package in exchange for that much stock in your company. And then we probably will do more than that as well. Usually they go along with a $100,000 investment. But we do need to do some due diligence. Unlike that other guy who just wrote you a check and sent it to you without no questions asked, we're kind of not like that. We have, George would get very upset with me if I did that. Same with Rob and John, because we're not just managing our money, we're managing other people's money. So we need to be very fiscally responsible for that. So I just want to thank everybody here. You guys are freaking amazing. We would be nothing without you guys. And even though I did predict Gerald would win, that was sort of an accident. Rohini, Anne, Livia, great questions today. Atisha, and the guys too. I appreciate all of you. Melissa, bring your patient perspective. And also we'd love to help you with your device if we will, whatever we can do there. If you need manufacturing help, some advice or, promotion. We do a lot for our MedStarter mentors because they're very valuable to us. Your feedback to us, the least we can do is open up our network and whatever we have to be able to help you folks to get forward and whatever your vision is. Because we know that, it's not just about the startups, it's also about all of us and our involvement with these companies as they go forward in time and really change our world. So, okay, Ross, would you like to play?
Good job, Alex.
I will play you out. This is a Noel Paul Stookie song. And if you don't recognize that name, it's the Paul of Peter, Paul, and Mary. It's Christmas Eve in the city, and in a downtown department store, a man with white whiskers and a red flannel suit takes a nip from the bottle by the door. It's the end of a sweet situation. Hey, mute Alex. 3 weeks in this soft velvet chair. It's 9:15, and the last girl in line comes forward to sit with him there. Well, he's heard hundreds of sweet little stories and wishes they all could come true. A football for Jimmy, a new doll for Minnie. Darling, what can Santa bring you? And she said, I want my daddy for Christmas, and no other present will do. She said, last night I talked to Jesus, and tonight I'm asking you. She was dressed in some hand-me-down sweaters, and her hair was gold and her eyes were so blue. And for some crazy reason, all they could think of was leaving his wife before the baby turned 2. And then a woman stepped out from the shadows into the light, where he could see that she was the mother and he was the father of the girl that now sat on his knee. And she kept saying, I want my daddy for Christmas. Yes, and she said it again and again. Please bring home my daddy for Christmas. Oh, Santa, I just know that you can. Well, he remembered his reasons for going. They seemed so important then. And He remembered his reasons for starting his drinking, and he knew what a fool he had been. And though his wife didn't know he was hiding behind old Santa's disguise, when he lifted the chin of the girl, she grinned as he told her with tears in his eyes, well, honey, your daddy will be home for Christmas, and you can't tell mama that Santa said so. And tonight in your prayers, when your daddy is there, you can thank God for bringing him home. There you go.
Thank you, Ross. Sorry for messing it up in the beginning with that stuff.
Not a worry.
That was really touching, and obviously, and not obviously to you, but that's part of my life too. So that story. So yeah, thanks. And thanks everybody for being here. This is our last event of the year. It's been a wonderful year for virtual home-based events. We'll be getting back on the road next year. I get my second vaccine dose on Friday, and we'll be seeing you soon, not just virtually. Let's hope. So great job, everybody. Rob, we're gonna keep talking. Alex, love what you guys are doing, thanks for everything you guys do. Thanks for everybody what you guys do for healthcare innovation. I mean, we'd be nothing if we would have an empty stage and nobody standing on it. Nobody to help us figure out what's going on. So we're very thankful this year.
Good job, Alex.
Great job, Gerald.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you soon. Take it easy, folks. And I'll be here hanging out if anybody wants to just hang out and drink and talk. If anybody. The recording is off, so don't worry. I think it is actually.
No, it's not.
Oh, hang on. Do you want to stop recording?
We're still live.